So, Mark, after last week and my barrage of inappropriate jokes, I've decided to tone it right back today. So we're going to do some warm-up vocal exercises. When I say we, you're going to do some warm-up vocal exercises. So we're going to start off, and I'm going to. This is something I read on a podcast forum. So if you say "go" 10 times as quick as you can.
You actually want me to do this now?
Yeah. I want you to do it now.
Okay. Go, 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 go.
Okay. Now the next one is go la 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 la.
La 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 la.
Lee 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 lee.
Lee 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 lee.
Do 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 do.
Do 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 do.
Okay, now there's one more. This one you need to say as loud as you can without shouting. This is meant to loosen your vocal cords. So it's 3 words. You need to say my first. The second word you need to say is Dixie. And then the third word you need to say is wrecked, like a car wrecked.
My Dixie wrecked.
Guess we're ready for the show then.
Before we forget, you want to die tonight?
The cheaper, nastier, the better for me.
Would you have stayed after this?
Sorry, man, I was completely off guard there.
He's in his coffin. He's the undead.
This was the best bit of the film.
This is not the last time someone's going to steal your man.
Yeah, Mark's not a nice guy.
But you didn't notice this scene. It looks like he's got an extra leg.
Yeah, I've got nothing. I've literally got nothing here. Surely that'd be even worse. The more listeners we have, the worse that's going to be.
Yeah, but I will just get a new phone.
Oh, I tell a lie, actually. Yeah, because we used to have teletext.
Art the Clown makes Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees look like pussies.
I can only assume that this was due to budgetary reasons and they couldn't afford enough extras.
Are you going to have Buster Rhymes in your list of characters?
Mate, I can't believe you don't know Idle Hands.
I'm going to ram my foot down his fucking throat. It was awesome.
It fucking wasn't awesome.
Welcome to the Run Podcast Horror Movie Review, the home of hot takes and bad jokes. My name is Scott.
And my name is Mark.
And we are a completely interactive horror movie review show. You pick the movies from our Instagram polls, and that's every Monday. We review whatever you tell us to. We ask you to give the movies a score, and you even get to review them as well. If you are a crazy control freak, this is the show for you. If you like to have your voice heard, this is the show for you. You could do that by sending us a message. Go to yourunpodcast.com and click on record us a message. Or you can send us an audio DM and we can get your message that way as well. Which this week is exactly what one of our listeners done.
What?
We have
not Buffy shit for me again.
Do you want me to tell you or just play the message?
This stuff needs to die, man. I'm going to have to start banning listeners from calling in if it carries on.
Well, let's see what you think of this one.
Hey guys, it's Jay. So I listened to your reviews and I'm definitely up for a Sharknado 4 episode. So I'm going to throw my request in there. Also, I'm going to throw a request in for House on Haunted Hill because I feel like it's a slept-on horror film, I feel.
I like House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah, so there's 2 requests there, Sharknado 4 and House on Haunted Hill. Now,
no Buffy. That was nice. It was nice to have a break from Buffy.
Yeah, no Buffy hate this week for you.
No.
We have our 100th episode is looming, and I love both of those suggestions. So I think we do away with the poll that is for that week, and we put those 2 head to head, and whichever one we do will be our 100th episode.
I'm hoping it's Sharknado 4. We need Sharknado 4 back on the show.
I would take Sharknado 4, but I would also be happy with House on Haunted Hill. Either of those as the 100th episode, I think, is a nice, cheesy, fun way to hit 100.
I think so, but it needs to be Sharknado 4. Surely it needs to be Sharknado 4.
Well, we'll put the poll out. I'm not going to sway anyone, but that poll will go out.
I am. Vote Sharknado 4.
That poll will go out when this episode is released. Vote on that, and you're voting for our 100th episode. If you've never listened to the show before, first of all, welcome. Hello. We will give the listener scores. That's how it works. We do that first before entering a deep dive into the movie you've chosen. We share our thoughts and opinions along the way and normally bicker and argue as well. After the review, we share some facts, listeners' thoughts before giving you scores and a roundup of the movie. On top of all of this, we even give you accounts to go and follow every single week in a feature that Mark created.
Recommended account of the week.
So this week's recommended account is Mr. The Artist. Mr. The Artist is, well, his bio reads as VHS, pop, and skate. And actually, just reading his bio now, I've noticed he has multiple accounts, which I don't follow, which I certainly will be doing after this episode tonight. The reason that I have found Mr. The Artist is because I've recently just set up a sister account, and it has opened a magnitude of new accounts for me that haven't been showing up on my current review page. How I've not encountered this guy yet so far is beyond me, because his artwork is mesmerizing. What he does is he takes old VHS tapes and then he'll frame them sort of like a 3x3. So if you imagine a VHS long ways,
Yeah.
3x3, and he sort of creates a canvas with the 9 tapes, if you will, glues them all together, and then he basically turns them into cover arts of iconic movies. So some of the more eye-drawing ones for me is, and especially the reason why I picked his account for this week, is he's done this outstanding one of The Thing. So it's a John Carpenter's cover of The Thing. It's basically like graffiti stencil art, if you will.
Okay.
A bit like Banksy. A bit like Banksy, but better.
A bit like Banksy, but horror.
A bit like Banksy, but horror, yeah. And it's outstanding. I mean, the one that he's done of The Shining with Jack Nicholson's face on the front and The Shining title on the top is honestly outstanding. The guy is so talented. I spoke to him as well, actually. I occasionally I'll message recommended account of the weeks and let them know that I'm going to pick them. But I actually messaged this guy before I was going to use him as a recommended account of the week, because he's got quite a few Halloween ones on his page. And I was like, wow, I need to own one of those for my office. That would look incredible. It turns out this guy is based in New York, and the shipping costs to get something that big here to the UK is extortionate.
Oh,
so
really?
hopefully, yeah, ridiculous. Apparently he was like, look, dude, I've spoken to somebody already from the UK, and to get it sent out to you is just, it's literally not even worth you like having it. So I'm gonna hopefully try and locate it one way or the other, whether I'm next out in New York and I'll arrange for a pickup and smuggle it back with me. But for those of you who are in America, definitely go and purchase some of this guy's artwork. If you're into horror or you're into cinema in general, just go and get some of this stuff, because it would look outstanding in anybody's office, room, living room, cinema room. It really, really is the centerpiece of any room. Not only that, but if you're not from America and you can't get this guy's work, it's still amazing to look at. So go and follow him. It is Mr. The Artist. He's a really, really nice guy as well. I've spoken to him on a personal level, and I'm sure he would appreciate the recognition. So go check him out, show him some love. And as always, if you do go and you've seen some of his stuff and you like some of his artwork, be sure to comment on that artwork and let him know that the U-Run podcast sent you.
Yeah, 100%. And also, you really delicately glazed over the fact that you have a secondary account. So it's MW underscore, what is it? MW underscore
don't
horror
do this again.
underscore VHS.
It's the same as my other one, but just VHS at the end.
Instead of reviews. And you're
Instead of
doing
reviews.
this is so the reason for you doing this is so basically so you can bicker openly with me without having to stick to a review format.
Yeah, so for those of you who already know me quite well outside of this show, my page on Instagram is quite strict. Like, I have a strict format. I have a bit of OCD with it. It has to look a certain way. Reviews have to be framed and printed in the same way. Every single post has to be the same. I don't know why I have this fixation with doing that, because it's not very often that people click on people's profiles. It's either you see it in your newsfeed or you don't see it at all.
Yeah.
But for some reason or another, I have a very strict thing with it. And like all my what are those things called at the top of your Instagram page where you have like links?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I
like
don't know
the
what they're...
story archive thing.
Yeah.
Like they're all set to, like, you click on one and it's got all the Nightmare on Elm Street films in it that I've reviewed, or you click on the other one, it's got all the Friday the 13th films in it. I don't know. It's a problem and I'm working on it. Trust me.
You definitely need to work on it.
In the meantime, I thought, right, I'm finding my account quite restricted, quite limited. So I thought, right, I'm going to set up a secondary account, which I can just be a bit free flowing with. And I've recently started collecting horror tapes and horror memorabilia. So I figured it was a perfect way for me to set up another account that I can be a little bit more personal on and not feel the confines of my review page. I can just openly post whatever I want, whatever I want, free chat on there without having to worry about messing up my portfolio.
Yeah. So
if you will.
Go and follow Mark. And if you follow him, let him know that the You Run podcast sent you.
I just nearly spat out my beer. That's my job. I purposely wasn't trying to use myself this evening. I was just trying to glaze over that fact.
Yeah, you don't get away with shit like that. I'll pick up on everything. This week we are travelling back to 1982, where one of the greatest things was created. And I know it was the year that I was born, but it wasn't me. I mean the masterpiece of cinema by John Carpenter. No, not Halloween 3. We have.
We haven't even started yet, man. For fuck's sake.
I'm on it tonight. We have the one with a bad dog, a rugged man in the snow, and the best practical effects ever to grace our screen. This is the movie that taught us you cannot trust anyone, even if we think we know them. Today, me and Marc are delighted to bring you our review of The Thing.
This is U.S. Station 31. You read me? Found something in the ice. We need some help down here. Can anybody hear me? We found something. We found something. We found something.
12 men have just discovered something. For 100,000 years, it was buried in the snow and ice. Now it has found a place to live. Inside. Where no one can see it, or hear it, or feel it.
I know I'm human. Some of you are still human. This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to, but it's vulnerable out in the open. If it takes us over, then it has no more enemies. Nobody left to kill it. And then it's won.
You guys gonna listen to Gary? He can beat one of those things!
So listeners get to score the movies, as I said earlier, and they have garnished The Thing with a 9 out of 10. And again, another movie that was very, very close to a 10 out of 10. There was a couple who dragged it down, but even they were scoring 8s and 9s.
Yeah.
So massive, massive score.
I didn't expect anything less for this, I'll be honest with you.
No, I didn't. Our scores will come later on. I think there's nothing else to do but just get into this Carpenter classic and see what we think about it. The Thing opens up almost exactly the same way as Predator, with an alien ship flying across the screen. The only difference is the effects in this are bad. Really
I've forgotten
bad.
how bad. Do you know what? Every time I watch this film as well, I kind of always blank that first section out for some reason. I just always remember this film picking up with the dog in the snow. And I quite happily live in that moment as well.
Yeah, you could easily cut this out. And the only difference between this and the Predator opening, bar the bad effects, is the whole ship crashes instead of it dropping a pod. But you could play them side by side and it's the fucking same thing. We get the title card of The Thing hits. And I want to add that the Thing logo is one of the best logos in all of horror.
Yeah, it's amazing. And the thing, is it the same as the original?
What? No, because that was called The Thing from Another World. I think they used the same font.
Oh, was it? Oh, it was a different title.
Yeah, it was. I think it was called The Thing from Another World.
So I haven't seen that, so I don't know how closely these two relate.
Not well. They kind of do, but this is opposed to being a remake. It's more of a reworking of the original novella. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay, I'm with you.
After the title card hits, we are off to the races, and literally off to the races as we get met by a chopper.
Mate, no. For fuck's sake, no. There is so many chopper scenes in this film as well. I aren't doing this tonight. Let's not do the chopper thing.
I'm not doing it. I threw one in there just to liven you up a bit.
Right, okay, can we please put this to rest now?
Yes, put my chopper away. Is that what you're telling me?
That sounds even worse.
This chopper comes complete with a sharpshooter, and they're chasing down a dog in the snow. Unlike Prey, this is not a good boy, but we will get to that in a minute because this dog is really not a good boy. They're taking pop shots of the dog, and it runs towards the Arctic Research Station housing the American researchers. We cut to McCready, Kurt Russell, sat inside drinking whiskey, playing chess against a computer. If you're too young to remember, this is genuinely how computers looked. This is exactly how they were. This is exactly how the screen was. This is a real computer from the 80s.
Yeah, I never had one that looked like this. I remember the proper, really, really shit old Windows computers, but I never had one that looked like, do you know, like a Matrix? It looks like the Matrix.
Yeah, that's how the first computer that I ever used was like.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, you're old.
I am very, very old. This is how it was when I was a lad. He's playing chess on this computer, which the computer could barely handle the graphics for it, and he loses. To which he then tips his whiskey in the hard drive, calling the woman voice on the computer a cheating bitch.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to him, but can you consider a computer to be a cheat? I mean, they're a computer. Surely they're going to be more intelligent than you. I think he was just raging, wasn't he? He wasn't very happy.
No, he wasn't. And the thing is, a computer in the 80s, this would have been like 30 grand's worth of computer. He just tipped a glass of whiskey in.
Yeah, is this the way of cementing the fact that he's a bad boy of the film?
I think so, and it works.
Yeah, like he works outside the law. He tipped his drink inside a computer.
Fuck you, computer! How dare you beat me?
Fuck you, Bill Gates.
Back to the dog, who's now reached the research station, and all hell breaks loose. So the Americans come out of the base, and the helicopter starts circling. Starts circling the camp, and they identify it as a Norwegian helicopter. The Norwegians try dropping a grenade to kill the dog. First of all, first watch for this, I'm going, what the fuck are they doing? Why are they trying to kill the dog? Leave the dog alone.
Do you know what? The whole time I was watching it this time around as well, I was like, oh man, that dog actually looks scared. Like they've obviously done something with like explosives or something to make it change directions and things. And it looked genuinely terrified. I felt real bad for it.
And it does later as well. There's it was the 80s. I hope all these dogs got like, I don't know, lots of treats afterwards, because there's many scenes in this where the dogs, like, they're looking at the cameras and say, I don't fucking want to be here. Get me out of here right now.
Yeah. It was quite cruel, really. I felt a bit bad for the dog.
Yeah, I did. But hey, it was the 80s. That's the way it was, unfortunately. The dog gets to the Americans and it's kind of like jumping up for a fuss. And we get our first death out of pure stupidity. As the Norwegian helicopter lands, they get out and one of the Norwegians gets a grenade and he goes to throw it and it slips out of his hand behind him. Now, instead of running away, he tries to dig it out and it blows him and the helicopter to smithereens.
It's still to this day as well. Every time I watch this film and I see that guy explode, the practical effect used to show, because he like explodes and you see bits of him fly into the blade of the helicopter before the helicopter then explodes as well. Do you know what I mean? Like instead of just showing, like a typical 80s action film would just show fire and explosion. Yeah. They actually took the time to like chuck a bag of meat on it, blow the bag of meat into the helicopter, and then blow the helicopter up alongside it. I was just like, wow, that's the littlest of things that make such a difference to one particular action scene. I was like, that's really, really clever that they took the time to do that.
Yeah, and there's lots of things like that all the way throughout. The remaining Norwegian now starts firing at the dog, who at the time is still effectively cuddling the American team. I love the acting from the whole cast of the American research team, where they're looking at this guy come towards them with a gun. They're all looking at him like, "What are you doing? Why are you shooting at us? And why are you shooting at the dog?" He hits one of the Americans in the leg and then continues to pursue the dog into the camp. And then we get an American team member who smashes a window of the base and shoots him. Brilliant shot, right through the eye.
Quick shot.
Really, really good. I don't know why he broke. Why did he break the window? Why did he just
Because
open the
obviously
door?
it was like a Western style thing, wasn't it? Like he was hiding in the room. He broke the window so he could shoot out of the window, but still retrieve cover from the rest of the inside of the room.
Okay,
Like
that
he
makes
didn't just like he was inside the building, wasn't he? And that was his quickest point of getting access.
yeah. Okay, all right, that makes more sense to me because I watched it and went, "You're gonna have to fix that window now." What the fuck did you do that for?
Yeah, especially in the Arctic as well, because that shit gets like minus fucking 2,000 degrees at night.
Yeah, and you do not want an open window in
No.
those sort of temperatures. After this, peace is kind of restored. The guy who shot is a guy called George, and they give him some first aid. But the first thing that happens is McCready walks over to him and just hands him a bottle of whiskey. It doesn't say anything, just hands him a bottle of whiskey.
Just another thing to cement the fact that McCready is the man. His fixture for everything is whiskey.
He is in almost every scene. He's holding a bottle of whiskey in his hand.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Just one thing as well. Like, I've seen this film countless times, and I still only remember 3 characters' names from it. That's McCready, Childs, and Window.
Yeah, and if I'm on it,
Yeah,
Windows. And if I'm honest, my notes are going to be very, very similar to that. It's this guy and that guy and McCready.
Yeah. Yeah, that is it. They're the only 3 characters I ever remember in this whole film.
They also put the fire out where the chopper had exploded. And McCready hits me with one of my favourite lines in the whole movie. First goddamn week of winter. Just insinuating that they've already fucking cracked. They've only been here a week. What's wrong with these people?
Perfect little exposition without going into too much detail. I loved it.
Yeah.
Very subtle.
Back inside the base, George is being stitched up by the doc, and they're discussing why the Norwegians shot at the dog and at the doc. And they kind of put it down to being that they're stir crazy. We have some members of the team trying to reach the outside world, but no one is responding. And this is Windows. So Windows is like their comms guy.
Yeah.
And it's the commanding officer comes in, is like, you need to reach someone. He's like, look, we haven't been able to reach someone for 2 weeks. You telling me I need to get someone is not just going to make it magically happen.
No.
It could be like this for months.
Yeah. And it's like, obviously they're in this crisis. Somebody's been shot. Somebody's turned up going absolutely batshit crazy. And the first thing to do is try and find, they're basically saying, we need to report this.
Yeah.
They're not trying to find help because they've contained the situation, but they need to report it to let somebody else know that this has happened. Officially, if you will.
There is lots of trying to figure stuff out in these opening scenes. And I'm not going to go through them all because if we do, we're one step away from reenacting the movie. It's lots of dialogue. But basically, the long and short of it, they spend a good 20 minutes trying to work out why a Norwegian helicopter turned up and started firing at them, even going to the extent of going, are we at war with Norway and we just didn't know?
Yeah, and the thing is as well, we're going to bypass it just purely because there is a lot of talking, but that's not to undercut how important it is to the film. Like this film is built upon pacing.
Yeah,
like, it's a perfectly paced film, and each scene is vital to the next without you knowing it. Like it doesn't drop a lot of exposition, it doesn't do a lot of character development, it doesn't do a lot of anything really, but it's building the sort of, I don't know how to describe it really. It's building this kind of atmosphere and this tensity. And I feel like the slow build that starts at the beginning is so vital to what comes after it.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't have that and it dove straight into what comes later, I don't feel like it would feel as important without it, if that makes sense. That's one thing that I always take away from this film. I get what you're saying, that there is a lot to glaze over early on in this film. But somebody on a podcast, that might sound quite dull. But as a viewer, it's very important that you have that with this film, I think.
Yeah, it is definitely. I mean, you can't, if you're watching it, you can't just glaze over it because there's important information in here throughout.
Yeah.
It's agreed that McCready and Doc will fly up to the Norwegian base and take a look around. The weather's not great, and McCready's like, look, we're really taking a chance. And they're like, well, we're going anyway. And they get the option to take one of the other pilots, and he's been smoking pot literally since they've arrived. And they're like, no, McCready's going to go because even though he's drunk, he's better than the guy who's stoned.
Why, can I just ask, why does McCready wear the stupid hat?
I like it's like Freddy Krueger's fedora on steroids.
And then he's like got it all curled up at the front and the back. Like as a normal standard cowboy hat, even though it's a bit weird, they fold up at the sides.
Yeah.
It's like he's wearing it sideways on to be cool.
I
Same
like
way you'd wear like a baseball cap to the side.
Yeah, I like the hat. I think I could pull that hat off.
I mean, it's Kurt Russell. He pulls it off fantastically, but it's still
Yeah.
fucking very odd.
I'm not being funny. You could stick him in a Minion hat and he would get away with it.
Man, the dude dresses as Santa Claus every year and he still looks fucking awesome.
He does. This is where we get our first shot at the dog looking suspicious. Now, on a first watch, you don't notice the dog is looking suspicious. On a second watch, this dog is shifty as fuck and a brilliant dog actor.
Yeah, it's not until I mainly pick up, I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy who handles the dogs, it's when he no, it's not even him. He just slowly shifts off into one of the rooms.
Yeah.
When McCready and them go off to find the Norwegian base, the dog is in like the rec room and he just slides off on his own.
Yeah.
And there's somebody in one of the rooms. You don't know who it is, but there's just a silhouette shadow of the guy in the room, and the dog just shiftily walks in. I'm like, you are not a good boy.
No, you're a bad boy. It reminds me, have you seen the Simpsons episode where Homer Simpson makes a movie with Mel Gibson? And it's like, the dog done it. And they're like, how will we know the dog done it? Homer's like, because the dog's got shifty eyes.
No, man. Is it one of the newest Simpsons? I haven't watched The Simpsons since Treehouse of Horrors 17.
It's an older one. There'll be a meme, so you'll get it. There'll be a meme coming out very shortly. The dog continues its strange behaviour as a walk around the base and into someone's room, which is what you just said. Up at the Norwegian base, McCready and Doc find the place deserted and it's burnt down. There's still smoke rising from the buildings, and they start to have a look around. They find an axe embedded in a door which is covered in blood, and then proceed to go into that room where they find a dead body in a chair. This scene in particular is what really showcases how outstanding this film is. The set design, the cinematography, the direction from Carpenter. I mean, the cinematography from Dean Cundey as well, one who's a frequent collaborator with John Carpenter. He did the cinematography in Halloween. He has this keen eye for this blue lighting and this blue moonlight setting. Something that works perfectly for this Alaskan setting that they're using here. But one thing that really stands out is this is clearly a set, but everything about it looks so genuinely cold. You can feel the coldness as you're watching it. And it's really, really cleverly done. And I just think as a collaborative team, Dean Cundey and I think it's Dean Cundey. I might be getting that wrong. I'm sure it's Dean Cundey who's a cinematographer from Halloween and The Thing. I might have to go back and Google check that. Go with it anyway. Dean Cundey will do for now. I'm getting confused between Dean Cundey and then one of them writers. There's a writer who does action books that has a similar name. You don't know either, do you? No. I have no idea. I'm just going to let you keep digging your hole. Is it Dean Cundey?
I don't know. I want to go with Dean Cundey. I'm sure it's Dean Cundey who does the cinematography. But anyway, my point is this scene in particular where they're rummaging around this Norwegian base, it visually looks outstanding. And I think the set design itself, the way that it's recreated, and the use of the false icicles and the false snow everywhere, and the way that everything feels so desolate due to obviously the windows have been damaged and broken through, so the elements are getting in. It's just perfectly done. Really, really is. And every time I watch it, this for me is my favourite sort of 10 minutes of this film. Yeah, and I know so much greatness happens in this film as well, but every time I watch it, I'm like, I fucking love this scene so much.
Yeah, there's so much work that's gone into set design and just pure practical effects as well. So the frozen blood where he slit his own wrist and the frozen blood around his throat is something I've never seen before. And it's really, really impressive.
It's just those little attention to details throughout this. You can tell this was a big passion project for Carpenter. He's taken the time to make sure that every single element of it was done flawlessly. Something that I think he does. I do genuinely think he does, and I always stand by the fact that Halloween is my favourite film of all time. But fucking hell, man, if you were to turn around to me now and said The Thing is Carpenter's best work, I think I'd genuinely struggle to argue with you about that.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get to my opinions on this. Before they leave, they have a good look around, and Doc takes some paperwork and they take some videos that they found as well. So basically some home videos of the Norwegian team. They find a huge slab of ice that's got like a melted divot in it that something's come out, and they're debating whether it was maybe they dug up a fossil or maybe it was an animal. And then they're kind of like, well, if they did, where is it? And they kind of get to a point where they're like, well, let's go outside. And they go outside and they find some charred remains. And they're like, is that a person? Is that two people? So they take that with them and go back to base. The remains are laid out on a table in like a theatre. I don't know, it's like the medical room. Again, practical effects, 10 out of 10. The doc is told to start an autopsy. And what I can only describe, it's like melted. It's like two people have been melted together.
It's like if you took two action men, chucked them on a bonfire, then pulled them out before they got fully destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah, so like you've got the two faces that are melted together. It's really, really impressive.
Yeah.
The dog also pops his head back in. So when they're doing this autopsy, the dog comes and stands at the door, like has a little bit of a look and wanders off. For good measure, they autopsy the Norwegian and they conclude that he's got no drink, no drugs in his system. So they're saying, look, this guy was not under the influence of anything when he rocked up here in a helicopter and started fucking shooting at us. He was fully okay. They also do the autopsy on the mess of two people. And the doc's like, well, the internal organs are normal. There's one heart, there's one liver, there's one set of intestines. And why he's telling you what there's one of, he's hooking them out of the body.
Yeah, like literally pulling them out, like a scene from a butcher's shop.
Yeah, very much so. We also get the shot of the base, like what the base living in the base is like. So they're watching old TV shows on VHS because they've obviously got no TV there. They're playing cards, they're playing pool. And did you notice how cool their fucking bar was?
No, wow, what was cool about the bar?
They've got a little bar, it's got neon signs behind it, it's got all the optics up on the wall, they've got pumps, they've got everything. They've got a fully functioning bar there.
I think if you're spending like 6 months of the year out in the Arctic, you need a pub. Like I'd love to be able to do a job like that, which is like I've got quite a few mates of mine who work offshore and work on like oil rigs and stuff. I'm like, man, that's so fucking cool. Like it's cool that you get to go and spend like weeks on end doing like this job that not many people would get to experience in life.
Yeah.
You know, you get to see this sort of like different sort of world, if you will, because it is a different world. Like, I've seen videos, they've sent me videos sometimes where they've been like on the rig and they've gone out off onto like the balcony, like the pitch black of night, and like filmed the open sea and been like, man, look at this. And it's just pure blackness. As far as the eye can see, just pure black. Like the blackest of black.
Not for me. Not interested whatsoever.
It's just like, I know, but it's cool, man. I'm like, that is an amazing opportunity to be able to experience something like that. And then seeing this film, I'm like, I would love to have the opportunity to do something like that, I think. But if I did, I would guarantee that I would need a bar.
See, I would like to do something like this, but somewhere a lot hotter. So like maybe go and be, I don't know, like on a research boat, like in Jaws. That's perfect. Somewhere in the tropics.
No, I don't do well with heat. I think I would prefer cold over heat.
Yeah, no, definitely not. The dog walks into the rec room and it startles George, who yells at Clark, who's the dog handler, to put his mutt with the others. Clark does this and he basically puts the bad dog in with all the good dogs. I love the dog's reaction. So one of the normal dogs that's not the thing, because I don't think I'm giving spoilers away. The bad dog that's running towards them is the thing. One of the good dogs stands up when he gets in there, and the good dog kind of looks at it like, I don't fucking like you, and then they all start growling, and then the thing's face kind of splits open, almost like a demigorgon from
Stranger Things.
Yeah, and all the dogs start to bark and growl. The dog that stood up is also the dog that's chewing at the bars to get out.
This was savage, man. It was literally biting through metal wire to try and escape. That's how terrified this dog was.
Yeah.
And that's another thing as well. When you're doing that, it's like, how do you train a dog to do that? Was it genuinely that terrified in the moment? What they're doing to make it that terrified? or how do you train a dog to chew through a metal gate?
Unless it was something else that looked like metal. Maybe it was like a chewy dog toy they'd sprayed, or chewy dog treat they'd sprayed silver.
Yeah, the magic of cinema. I hope that's the case. I hope it's a dog biscuit they've sprayed.
Yeah,
but it
so do
looks
I.
like a genuinely metal fence that this
Yeah.
dog was trying to break free from.
You get tentacles that come out of this. I don't know. It turns into like this weird little lump of goop on the floor, and there's tentacles coming out, and they're grabbing the other dogs. Clark hears all the noise and comes back to check what's going on. As he opens the door, there's like 2 or 3 dogs that come out at about 1,000,000 miles an hour. And I'm pretty sure they were literally thrown out the door by a stagehand.
Yeah.
They come out at like head height.
Yeah, someone's kicked them out of that door.
Yeah. This is when he spots the thing and he instantly locks the pen, which the first decent decision. In fact, all the decisions in this are fairly logical.
Yeah, kind of.
Most people in this make good choices. Locking the pen is definitely a good choice right now.
Yeah.
MacReady hears the screams and the dog's howling, and he pulls the fire alarm, and he goes down to the dog pen. He opens fire when he sees the thing, and the thing's sort of beginning to absorb the other dogs. So it's like the tentacles going round it, it's dragging in, it's starting to change shape, and it's kind of using it. As he gets shot, it gets like bigger and kind of like almost goes up through the ceiling.
Right, see, this is it, right? This is one thing I want to ask, because I've never understood this about this film, and I don't get the idea of what the thing is. Because is it throughout this film, is there just one singular entity?
No, I don't think there is. I think there's at points in this, I think there are multiple things. There are multiple people that are infected as a thing.
Right, so it's not just moving from one host to the other. So it doesn't just attract one person, turn into that person, and then that's the thing. And
No.
if you kill that one thing, so it could be like multiple people. Because I never understood why it was taking on all of the dogs, as if to like pull them all into like together, like James Gunn's Slither, where they pull them all in and it makes one big massive.
Yeah, no, I think it's a case of it can replicate and multiply, because I think there's at least 1 or 2 points in this movie where at least 2 people are the thing.
Right, okay. Because I was always like unsure what was what, whether it was trying to replicate and spread like a virus and have multiple hosts, or whether it was just one host transforming into one person and then trying to just go about his business unnoticed within the group.
No. It is definitely trying to spread. The character called Childs turns up, and early as MacReady was going down, he shouted through one of the walkie-talkie systems for Childs to bring the flamethrower. They torch this dog, this monstrous dog, and MacReady also shoots all of the other dogs to put them out of their misery, which is really sad. But again, he'd done the right thing.
He's very quick off the mark, isn't he?
Yeah, it kind of collapses to the floor. And then instantly, everyone is in there putting it out with fire extinguishers.
I immediately picked up on that. I was like, just let the fucking thing burn, man. Why are you trying to hose this out? It's literally, it's like that thing where you hold a lighter to your hand briefly.
Yeah.
And it just, you can take it away when it gets too hot. Like, this thing has not even felt the scorch yet.
No, I would have I would have at least gone and had a cigarette while I waited. And then I'd have come back and checked on it.
If it wasn't smoking ash, it was not getting a fire extinguisher in my eyes. It literally just touched it with a flamethrower and they put it out immediately. I was like, fuck that, man. Let it burn.
Yeah. And after that, let it burn. Let it burn.
Let's not talk about Gordon Green's Halloween films.
No. After they have let it burn, they drag it to the autopsy table. And I'll give the doctor his due. He's a very clever guy, because it almost instantly there's this big leap in knowledge that he goes, this is an organism and it's copying us and it's turning into us. So the dog that come here was this thing.
Yeah.
And everyone starts getting a little bit paranoid here. And the doc's like asking Clark, like, how long were you alone with that dog? And he's like, about an hour. He's like, okay. Clark's like, why? What's wrong? He's like, no, it's nothing. It's nothing. Because he's worried that Clark may be a thing. So he's concerned. Now, while this is all going on, they're starting to look at some of the footage they took from the Norwegian base. and they're looking through some of the paperwork, and it shows that they found something about 6 miles from their camp that they were investigating, which is where this block of ice came from. And the team decide they're going to go and have a look. They go back in the helicopter and they get to a huge crater which contains the spaceship from the opening of the movie.
I love this. Again, this is a perfect scene. Do you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember the ending of Hellraiser 2, where they go towards like the actual part of hell, like the lamentation configuration kind of thing, and the whole set design is painted. This whole set design, this whole crater is painted. The spaceship is painted. I love it. It brings back such nostalgia for me every time I see it, and especially reminding me of Hellraiser 2, because I love the ending of that film too, that the way they did it. It's just a callback to such a perfect era in cinema where they used to do this. And it's like sort of like the early, cheaper green screen days, if you will.
Yeah,
every time I see it, I'm in awe of it every time I see it, and especially in this one because it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, it looks brilliant. This crater is really deep because they need to abseil down it. If I'm honest, they don't find out a whole hell of a lot. Only the fact that they think it's been buried in the ice for at least 100,000 years. And we cut back to the base. So back
because what they find, don't they, in the spaceship is they find the crater, and then they're like, "Oh, there's nothing here." And then they come out of the crater, and that's where they find the like sort of swimming pool shape that they found in the Norwegian base.
Yeah, so
they determined that he'd crashed, tried to crawl away from the wreckage, and then froze in the ice for like I think they work it out to about 100,000 years or something like that this spaceship had crashed.
Yeah,
for him to be that deep in the ice for that long, it must have been about 100,000 years. I think it was 100,000. It might have been 10,000 years, but I'm sure they said 100.
Yeah, I'm sure it's 100,000 years. But the funny thing is, the block of ice they dig out that's got the thing in it is about 6 foot down. But the spaceship that he crawled out of, they have to abseil like 12 stories down to get to that.
Yeah.
Back in the American base, we get our first real interaction between MacReady and Childs. I love the fact that Childs refers to the spaceship as voodoo bullshit as they're discussing it. And he does it multiple times. He's like, it's just voodoo bullshit. They're like, no, it's aliens. He's like, yeah, voodoo bullshit. It's like...
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I can't work out Childs as a character. And no matter how many times I watch it, I don't get him. I don't get...
He's just an arsehole.
The direction. I know, but he is and he isn't at the same time. I think it's because of the way that this story is so well developed with the anxiety and the paranoia that's put in place. Like, it's hard to take anybody, even McCreary at times, it's hard to take him as, is he right or is he wrong in the decisions he's making? And like Childs is like almost like the anti-hero of the story, if you will.
Yeah.
Where the two bounce off each other. And like, I love Childs. I think he's second to McCreary, he's my favourite character in this film. And every time I watch it, I'm like, I want to like you, but you're such a dick.
Yeah,
but then on the other flip side, if I'm looking from a different perspective and I put myself in the eyes of Charles, I'm like, McCreary, you're such a dick.
McCready's awesome. I'm full team McCready on this, 100%.
Is it McCready or McCreary?
McCready.
Oh, right. Okay. Apologies. I've been mispronouncing that this whole episode.
I know. I let it go until now. I wasn't sure if you were going to get it right eventually.
Cheers for that, mate.
That's fine. We now get some exposition from an 80s PC as it merges what are meant to be cells. And honestly, it looks like a game of Space Invaders. But this game of Space Invaders determines there's a 75% chance that someone in the camp is infected, and that it would take 27,000 hours to infect the entire planet. Now,
the thing is, as well, about this bit in particular, that's where I drew the confusion from regarding it consuming everybody or splitting off. So that scene in particular, you have what it's supposed to be representing is the dogs, isn't it? And then there's the one organism, but it's like that organism is consuming all of them. It's not splitting off into multiple organisms. So it's not like it eats. So the organism's blue and the dogs are black within the screen. And then each time it takes on another dog, it just sort of basically consumes it within itself. But having taken in a dog and then split off into two blue organisms.
Yeah, no, they're not.
Then I would have got the point.
They're just cells. It's showing the.
I know, but
I
know the cells. But what I'm saying is, in that moment, that's what I was referring it to. And if they'd have had those cells, the same way you with like you depicted a zombie virus or something in an apocalypse TV series or something like that. It consumes it, doesn't it? So you'll get your red blood cells, and then the black zombie cell will turn the rest of them black.
Yeah.
And this one, it just sort of ate them, and then ate another one, and then ate another one. It like merged it all into this one cell rather than bursting off into multiple blue ones once it consumed another one. That's where the confusion was lying for me, because they do this moment of exposition and try to develop this scientific knowledge for it, but I just feel like they got it wrong.
Yeah, I think they did. They definitely got it wrong. They even more so got it wrong. So 27,000 hours is about 3 years. We know for a fact it does not take that long for a virus to spread across the planet.
No.
We have learned
it's a real virus, but we'll save that for another day.
Yeah, that's another episode. So with our newfound knowledge, they move these things. So you've got the melted body, and you've got the other thing they found that they fried. And instead of killing them, they put them in the storage room. Genius.
Yeah.
Let's move them from the lab to the storage room. Don't need to do anything with them. We'll just stick them in there. And they even address it as well, because one was like, we should burn this. He's like, no, you can't burn this. This is going to win someone the fucking Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
It's got
Which
to
it
stay
would as
here.
well. And in that moment, you would be like, I genuinely think that in that situation, had I discovered an alien, I'd be thinking, ka-ching! Like, this is the greatest discovery in history. I wouldn't be thinking, fuck, this otherworldly entity is going to take over the entire planet. I'd be thinking, I'm a fucking hero, man. I've just found an alien.
I found an alien and I killed it.
And I killed it. I'm getting paid, man.
This is where George is left alone with the thing. And this is where we see the thing start to move. Now, outside, there's a character called Fawkes, and he's pulled MacReady to one side. And he's saying that one of the researchers is, like, he's been reading through his notes. And MacReady, honestly, could not give a shit. He's like, yeah, look, it's cold. What?
Yeah. Oh, he pulls him off into the digger outside, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he's like, look, this thing's going to, like, take over the world. And MacReady even then's a bit like, it's cold. He's so, like, nonchalant about the whole thing. We discover that the thing has got George, as he's discovered by Windows, the radio guy. When he gets back from getting MacReady and Fawkes, has gone as well. They find him outside, and this is one of the best practical scenes ever for me. This half man, half thing, where like his hands have all like gone tentacly, and then he lets out this fucking god awful scream.
Do you know what this scene reminded me of? Do you remember what's the last one of the Cornetto trilogy, World's End? And the robots do that thing where they all open and connect while they do that weird screeching scream thing. It was like that. But like, oh man, it's brutal. It's brutal. It's really, really good as well. And I like the effects that they use for his hands. It reminds me of District 9.
Yes, very much District. Now, that's a great movie. Does that class as horror?
No, but I think we should get... if I say no, we're not allowed to have it on the show.
Yeah,
we did Predator last week. Of course we can. We do what we want these days.
As it screams, like MacReady lays some gasoline on it and on the floor and just mercilessly lights it with a flare. It's now they decide to burn all of the things from inside, and they bring them all outside, and Kurt Russell just goes wild with a flamethrower. It's the most 80s thing ever. How do we make this movie great? We've got Kurt Russell. He's got great hair. He's got a great fucking hat. Let's give him a flamethrower and let him burn stuff.
I mean, the hat's debatable, but yeah, he's got great hat. How famous was he at this point?
He was, I don't know, he was sat mid-fame. He wasn't at his peak. I think this helped propel him later, but this didn't do very well. This flopped when it came out. It was an absolute disaster. Lost loads of money.
Really?
I mean, it was a massive, massive flop. Flopped in theatres. No one thought much of it. It was only sort of 5, 6, 7 years later that this boomed on the VHS market and become a cult classic. But yeah, this is...
And it's now one of the greatest sci-fi horrors of all time.
Yeah, exactly that. They realise that one of the researchers has gone missing. And this is where like the paranoia is amped up to 11, especially when MacReady sees this guy like interfering with the helicopter. and then he rushes inside, and then there's a gunshot, and McCready goes in, and this guy's in there, and he's like trashing all their communication equipment. He's got a gun, and he's threatening everyone. He starts firing, and he runs out of bullets, and McCready takes him down. So they all take him down. So they get like a table from the canteen, and they rush him when he runs out of bullets. He puts the axe through the table?
Yeah.
He actually put a real axe through the table while the other actors were running at him. So dangerous.
Yeah, so dangerous. As well, though, in that moment, I was like, McCready, you're actually a bit of an asshole, because he sends Childs as bait.
Yeah.
Knowing full well that he's going to open fire on him.
Yeah.
And like Charles comes around the corner, he's like, man, just calm down. We can do it. And he literally misses him by like a couple of centimeters. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
McCready, what an asshole. You knew that was going to happen just so you could distract him to go and then put the table. Because he asks for the table, knowing his plan before he sends Childs.
Then he sends Childs, yeah. Get me a table.
Yeah.
Like, Childs, if you just go around there, that'll be great.
Yeah. And I'm like, what an asshole.
This is where they decide to do a blood test. So first they go and lock this guy up in the tool shed. They first say they're going to put it in McCready's hut, and McCready's like, no, he can go in the tool shed. He's not going in my hut.
Can I just ask you, in this moment, knowing what we now know about the ending, obviously spoiler for those who haven't got here, but if you haven't seen the thing yet and you're listening to this episode, why? Knowing what we know about this character later on,
he's a thing now, I think.
Do you think that's why? Because I don't know whether he's destroying communications because he knows and he's like, this can't escape.
No, I think
we need to contain this. Or
I think
do you think he's doing it so?
I think because we see him building the spaceship later with bits he's stolen from the helicopter, 100% he's collecting parts, he's destroying communications. If you look at he's not very good.
So you think he was maybe like the first one to go, like the first proper one to go?
Yeah, the first one after George they torched in the snow. I think he's the first one to be about while he is the thing and communicating with them. He's the first one who's gone through the full change.
Not necessarily George came first, because George just happened mid-transformation. He didn't have time to fully change, did he?
No, but I think that he is. The thing is, it's so open to interpretation, and everyone will watch this and will have in their head that different people are the thing at different times.
That's what's so infuriating about this film.
And Carpenter's never confirmed either, and refuses to.
I think that's a wise move. Because as soon as you do, and as soon as you say it, and the thing is as well, no disrespect to John Carpenter, I love all of your films, but you're an arsehole of a man. Like, he will change his mind. He would tell you one day, yeah, McCready was a thing from the start and he was a big thing, and then he'll change his mind and be like, McCready was never a fucking thing. Like, he is so indecisive, that dude.
Yeah, it's amazing he's made such great movies, because he is very indecisive. They decide now to do a blood test, and it was this part in my notes when I realised the character that I've been calling one of the research guys, a character called Blair. So yeah, apologies. He's one of the main characters. He's called Blair. The blood test is a brilliant idea, but all the blood has been destroyed. So they've got basically their blood in storage in case there's an accident and they can give them a transfusion of their own blood, and it's all been wrecked. We get a full-scale row breakout, and it's like all guns at dawn. The radio guy freaks out. A pistol gets drawn on McCready. And it's McCready who kind of takes control of this whole situation. He's like, right,
yeah,
I'm taking the gun. I'm taking the knife. Everyone else now just a fucking stop.
Yeah, because the blood got destroyed, and the only way the blood could get destroyed is because it was in a locked cabinet. And the only person who had the key for said locked cabinet was the guy from the beginning who shot the Norwegian.
Yeah.
He's like the sort
commander.
Of, he's like the sheriff of the Arctic base. And he's like, look, I didn't do it. Maybe someone took the key off me. He's like, yeah, that's what you want us to think. And then that's a perfect way that they start incorporating the paranoia. And they're all like, look, maybe he's a thing and he sabotaged it. And he's like, look, no, I didn't do it, which plays a big part of later on is this guy's innocence, because the way that they're all turning on him, he's like, look, If you don't believe me, because it's Windows in this moment, Windows freaks out and runs off to the gun cabinet and gets a gun, and it's the main sheriff guy, chasing him down, and he's holding him at gunpoint. He's like, "Look, Windows, put down the gun, or I'm going to shoot you." At which point McCreary comes in. He's like, "Look, I can't remember his name. He's like, Sheriff. I'll just call him Sheriff." He's like, "Sheriff, drop the gun. Let's sort this out." And he's like, "Look, you all think it's me. You think I sabotaged the blood. I'm sorry, I didn't." And he puts the gun down on the side. And Charles, they all debating on who should be the next sheriff. It's like, "I'll take charge." And then Charles runs in to grab the gun. McCreary's like, "No, you fucking don't."
Yeah.
And then now McCreary sort of self-imposed, self-important sort of new captain of the ship.
Yeah, and he basically says to Charles, "Look, I think someone a little bit more mentally stable than you needs to be in charge of the gun and the knife.
Yeah.
So someone who's got less of a temper needs to be in control, and that, Charles, is not you." From here, Macready orders the three men to be drugged. So he gets three of the men, they're drugged. So he wants to drug them and just see what happens, basically. See if any of them do anything. He also records a message out to the world, which is basically, "I'm going to hide this tape. If anyone finds this tape, this is the last record. All hope is gone now." Early podcasting is absolute best. That's instantly what it reminded me of. He sat there with a mic in a darkened room drinking whiskey. It's like I could say those words now and someone could record it, and it's a shot for shot likeness of that scene. Fuchs heads outside, and as he's going outside, a shadow passes by his door. I'm amazed at this point that anyone is allowed to be left alone. Macready noticed that he's gone and goes outside and takes another guy with him to look for him. They check on Blair. I love this. They go up to check on Blair in the tool cabin, and he's made himself a noose.
I love that it's so blasé as well. Like, he's just sat chilling, doing his thing. They don't draw any attention to the fact that there's a noose there. They just sort of check on him, like, "Hey, how you doing, man? Yeah, cool. All right, see you later." And then it's just his noose just hanging there.
Yeah, and he's really good as well, because he's like, "Look, I had my moment. I lost my shit for a little while. I'm okay now. I just want to come back inside. I don't want to sit in the tool shed anymore." And Macready listens to him and is kind of nodded along with him, and then he just closes like the little window and just leaves him. It's like, "You're not coming back in." They find a body outside, which they identify as Fuchs, and they think he burnt himself of trying to avoid becoming the Thing. It's in this sequence where Macready locks outside, and it's Childs who instructs everyone to block off all the windows and doors. The team member who went out with Macready comes back, and he said he found a ripped shirt in Macready's cabin.
Yeah, right. So, sorry to interrupt you, but I don't particularly get this scene. So, Macready and who's it is with? The black guy who loves the roller skates. I can't remember his name.
No, I can't.
Those two go out to speak to Blair, and then there's somebody else with them, and they send the other guy back. And what they say is, Macready says, "I'm going up to my cabin." And he's like, "Why are you going up to your cabin?" He's like, "Well, because the last time I left my cabin, I turned the lights off." And then
the lights are on.
The cabin, and you can see the lights are on.
Yeah.
So they go up to the cabin. And the next thing we get is the black guy with the roller skates come barging through the door, and he's like, "Oh, I found this in Macready's cabin." It's like they already mention early on in the film that if you transform, it sort of like burns your clothes as they come off. It like disintegrates your clothes. So he's found a disintegrated bit of cloth that has Macready's, like, so basically like a war tag on it. So you have like a war uniform that's got your initials on it and your surname. It's like, "Oh, I found this in Macready's cabin. He's definitely him. I cut him loose in the snowstorm. He'll never find his way back to the base." Because obviously in an Arctic snowstorm, it's like if a whiteout appears, you lose all orientation of where you are, and you just sort of like wander off in the wrong direction, if you will, because you can't see that far in front of you other than your hand. So he said, "Oh, I cut him loose," and that's kind of where we end up where we are, where Charles is now thinking of taking over.
Yeah, and he does, basically. He locks Macready outside, but Macready doesn't stay outside for more than a couple of minutes. He breaks a window in the supply room. Charles bursts down the door with the intention of killing him on sight. And when they get in there, he's holding the biggest fucking handful of dynamite and a lit flare next to it. Yeah. It's fucking brilliant. It's so
He looks
good.
very cold.
Yeah, he's all his face is frosted up and his beard is frozen. They find one of the team members down, and they take him down to the lab, and we get one of the most spectacular practical effects ever as they begin the autopsy on this team member. Mark, you are the practical effects man. Take us through
I'll give you a brief as run through as I can from this scene without gushing too much. So basically, McCready is struggling with his numbness from being out in the cold and the intense paranoia that everyone's feeling going around him, because everyone's all at this moment like, McCready, you're the thing, you are the thing, and everyone's like pointing fingers, and he sat there like, shit, what do I do? Clinching onto this dynamite. I can't remember, who is it who collapses that gets put onto the table? I'm terrible with names of this.
Yeah, I don't know who it's a researcher.
Yeah, it's one of the members of the team collapsing, is lifting onto the table, and the doctor comes in to try and resuscitate him. In doing so, he opts for the defibrillator. After multiple attempts at the defibrillator, God, that's a hard word to say when you've had a few beers. After multiple attempts with the defibrillator, on the second attempt, the guy's chest opens up like a giant mouth, and he amputates both the doctor's arms from like sort of like the elbow down, if you will.
Yeah.
From that point on, a creature then proceeds to grow out of him, and it's like, as I think, who is it that burns him with the blowtorch? I can't remember who does. I think it's McCready. McCready burns him with the blowtorch, and as he does, the guy whose chest opens, like his head sort of falls off the back of him, like I don't know, like melts off the back of him and turns into like this spider creature on the floor, and like scurries away under the table. As it does, McCready finally notices it and burns it to a crisp once and for all. But this scene in particular is one of the most iconic scenes, not just in horror, but probably in cinema in general, because the practical effects in this are some of the best I've seen put to screen. And to this day, I think you'd struggle to top it.
One of my favourite bits of this is when the head is on the floor and it's on its side, and it flicks out its tongue and wraps around the chair.
Pulls itself to like a
pulls
desk.
itself with a tongue to get itself upright so it can grow the legs. That tongue pulling bit is like, wow.
But like,
even now,
everything
it's like,
about it, it's like everything about it is just so mesmerizing when you watch it, and just when you think you understand how it's done, it's sort of like, and like there's a scene particularly where the head's underneath the desk, and it looks like, oh, that's like a puppet hand controlling the head from behind the desk. And then the head just freely comes out from underneath the desk and like sprouts his legs and walks off. And you're like, how have you done this in the 80s?
Yeah.
And made it so convincing and so realistic the way you have. And more so in particular as well, I glazed over this scene because I wanted to get more context of the scene before I went into it. But when the chest opens and the thing sprouts up from within the guy's chest, you have the guy who's laid on the bed. I keep saying the guy, but I don't know his name, so I do apologize. The guy who's on the bed, his head is also a part of the thing. So you can see the thing that's coming from his chest is like mid sort of morphosis, if you will. I think that's the correct scientific word. And it's like it's got his head on this weird disfigured alien, but it's also got his head while it's on the operating table, and it's like, holy fucking shit. And the whole thing together collectively is just, it's mind-blowing how they managed to do this and do it so convincingly for the time period that this film came out in. And I still think you would struggle to find many films today with the budget and the capabilities that a lot of artists have to recreate something as well as this does in this scene particularly.
Yeah, I completely agree. It is... This scene, from a practical effects standpoint, is as good as it gets.
I think so, yeah, I think so. And how this did this win any awards for this, by the way?
I don't think it did. I think it was nominated for a practical. I don't think it won, though.
No, but the thing is as well, like, did you see the tweet from Universal Pictures recently about this?
No.
So Universal Pictures tweeted out, which is very, very fucking ironic, by the way. Universal Pictures tweeted out that CGI could never, and then that was it. That was the statement. CGI could never. And then they put the thing as a caption, and then they played this scene on their Twitter account. And man, this did not get the response they were expecting it to. So everybody on Twitter then came at Universal Studios, and obviously, as you can understand why, based on the remake that came out in, or not the remake, but the prequel that came out in, I think it's 2011.
Yeah.
Everyone just went on at them. I screenshotted a couple of them to read out just for shits and giggles more than anything. But one of my favourite ones was from a guy called Ted Gogagan. Must be Welsh. I probably pronounced that wrong. Apologies, Ted. He put, remember that time you made a big budget prequel to The Thing? And, and then after feeling like practical effects would keep younger audiences from seeing it, you painted over them all with trashy CGI that ruined the film and destroyed the director's vision. This goes on. This goes on for some time, and there is a magnitude of people. I think at some point they must have pulled the tweet because it got that much bombardment from everybody else. But
That's
rightly
funny.
so as well, because
Yeah.
the 2011 prequel had such potential, and they just trashed it.
Yeah,
And then to do something like that and put a tweet out like that is the greatest practical effects scene of all time, and saying this is something CGI could never do, and then go and destroy a film with CGI is just very entertaining.
It's funny, and the thing is, the person who put that out has probably sat there, because we all do it. We all make a post or a tweet or whatever it is and go, "That's going to do really well," and then they've gone and made a coffee and come back and gone, "Oh fuck, what have I done?" And we've all done that. I've done that many times.
Yeah, you and me both. But man, yeah, just in that moment, I'm like, fucking idiot. Why would you do that knowing what you did? So, and still to this day, I'm desperate to see a version of that 2011 prequel where it is
director's
purely practical.
Cut. Yeah, director's cut of that, please. I would take that all day long, because
I would pay my life savings to have that released, I think.
I think it would be amazing, but I don't think we'll ever get it. Who knows? Maybe one day. It's from here after they've destroyed the Thing now. So as far as we're aware, as the audience, there are no things left now. This was the last one, as far as we're aware, because we've not seen any others. We get the blood test. McCready insists that they now know that heat kills it, so he's going to get a little bit of everyone's blood into like one of these little dishes. He's going to heat up a bit of wire and touch it. And if it does anything, we know that you're the Thing. If it does nothing, we know you're safe.
Yeah.
This has the best jump scare in this movie, because I did not see this coming. So he does like his own blood. He does a couple of other people's, and then he puts it into a sample. It's Palmer's sample. And as he touches it, this fucking, like, the blood jumps like 4 foot out of the dish. And honestly, it scared the life out of me. Even on this rewatch, I still went, fuck. It's so good. It gets free and killing windows. So it is the guy who is Palmer. At this point, when his blood turns, he starts to turn into the Thing.
Just for context as well, at this point, McCready has got everybody tied to chairs.
Yes, he has. Yeah, so
they're all tied to chairs in a line. And who is it? Did you say that turns?
It's Palmer who turns.
Palmer turns, and he's the one at the very, very end point on the chair.
Yeah.
So he grows into like this big fucking tentacle creature thing, lifting the rest of everybody else who's on the bench with him into the air before finally breaking free and taking out windows. And man, it is graphic. He eats windows. Like, he literally eats windows.
Yeah, he does. So his head like splits open into a massive mouth, and you get a scene where Windows is upside down in this head mouth, and like he stood up while he's doing this, and Windows' legs are like dangling in the air as he's eating him.
Yeah, and this is brutal as well, because Windows literally just passed the test, and you could see how relieved he was to not be a thing.
McCready instantly with the flamethrower. McCready loves his flamethrower. Tried firing it, and just hit. Another one bites the dust.
Do you know what's the most brutal thing about this as well? Is as soon as he does this, he immediately turns to Windows, who is like fucked on the floor, like in bits in a corner, and has no remorse and just tortures him.
Yeah.
Like, I think brutally as well. I'm like, oh, Windows is like the nicest guy ever. That is so bad.
Yeah, I think he needs to. At this point, if I think I'd be in the same mindset. He's turned, he's now bitten you, so there's a good chance you're going to turn. I'm sorry, I'm taking you out. there's only Childs and like the commander or the sheriff guy left. Childs is fine. He's still an asshole, but Childs is fine. And the commander is also fine. And he made me laugh so much.
Yeah.
He's like,
I thought I'd wrote the quote down like he says.
he's like, yeah, so now we've got that all out of the way. Can you please untie me from this fucking chair? Because I want to fucking help now. It's so
it's
good.
almost like that's why I drew so much attention early on when he hands the gun over. Because it's like he knew it. Because he's such a leader, you can tell he's a natural born leader. And you can tell in that moment early on, he's like, my only option now is to concede.
Yeah.
To the point where they know that I'm safe and I can retain dominance again. And I feel like this was his moment where he was like, right, you've had your fucking time now, boys. Let me out and shut the fuck up and do as you're told, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly that. And it's really good and it's really impactful. And this is where we now know that we had multiple things. So this is how I know they were replicating as opposed to consuming. So we had Palmer was the thing in this room. And now they've killed Palmer and they've killed Windows. There should be no more things. They should all be gone now. But the only person they haven't tested is Blair.
Who's up in the cabin.
Who's up in the cabin. And we know later in the movie that Blair is a thing. So at this point, Blair and Palmer, I believe, are both things at the same time.
Yeah, which must mean that Blair, because he's been contained into the cabin, must have been a thing at the time when he trashed the room.
Yes. Yeah, so this is kind of how my logic is building it. They go up to the cabin because they want to give Blair the test, and they get there and he's not there. They go in, as they walk in, they hear some of the floorboards are hollow. So they lift them up and they find there's a tunnel. So they go down the tunnel where they find like a mini spaceship that Blair / the thing has been building.
It looks like Rick's spaceship from Rick and Morty.
Very much. We get lots of searching for him, and we also get them setting charges to blow the whole camp. They do find him, but by the time they do, he's taken out a couple of the other members of the team, and we get our big final showdown. Now,
and I just want to come back to a little particular scene as well before we move on, because it's going to be important for my questions at the end. While they're hiding out in the bunker waiting for Blair, and the lights go out and all the rest of it, you see Childs run across the camp. Childs was supposed to stay within the bunker and and maintain there and be like, if anybody comes that isn't us, fucking shoot it.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And we see Childs running across the base camp in pursuit of, well, it's not clear that it was in the pursuit of Blair, but later on in the film he says, I saw Blair and I was chasing after him.
Yeah.
And the only reason I'm bringing point to it now is because it's going to bring relevance to my questions later on. So I just want to make sure that everyone knew that it was there. But yeah, we see Blair we see Charles run across the camp when he was supposed to be staying put and without contact with anybody else.
Yeah. This final scene, the monster looks great, as all the practical effects do, but it's really anticlimactic. They built everything so well, and let's boil it down. This ends with McCready throwing a stick of dynamite at it, destroying the thing, setting off all the charges and destroying the base.
I don't know. I think that's a bit unfair to say, really, because we get a very, very sort of well-built final scene in which, obviously, in the moment, there is the roller skate guy, there is the captain, and there is McCready down in the basement. They're trying to find all the stuff, and then Blair sort of comes out from around the corner. And again, practical effects wise, he gets his hand and he sticks it onto the captain sheriff's face, and you see his fingers sort of morph into the captain's face. And the practical effects in this moment in particular, like, even though it was such a subtle practical effect moment, it looked amazing. I was like, wow, that is so fucking cool. And obviously we have such grand practical effects moments throughout this film, but it was just that one particular thing where he literally puts his human hand on his human face and you see the two merge into one another. Like it was almost like a morphing thing. I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah, the build to it's all great. It's the actual final fight between McCready and the monster that I felt let down. I wanted that to be more of a battle, because McCready doesn't really struggle with that. It's kind of a case of, oh, monster, I'll let dynamite, kaboom. And I wanted there to be more of a struggle for that final battle for McCready. I wanted him to get I don't know, like the shit kicked out of him, or it starts to merge with him and he fights it off. I wanted there to be more of a struggle at the end.
I kind of get what you're saying, but for the reasons that you're saying, I kind of have to disagree with you. I feel like that would be the sort of stereotypical way to go with a film like this. Is like you'd have that big battle, that big showdown, that Arnie versus Predator kind of thing, if you will. And the fact that it didn't go down that road, and it was such a quick execution, it was a case of, no, fuck you, I'm a human, and eat my dynamite, bitch. I kind of like that. Do you know what I mean? I liked how well it was resolved, like it was, rather than the whole, oh, I'm going to light this dynamite and you're going to coincidentally knock it out of my hand right at the perfect time. Like, it was like, no, fuck you, here's dynamite, eat this shit.
Yeah,
and that was it.
Yeah, I get it. It kind of wasn't what I wanted. I felt a little bit let down, especially by an 80s movie. I want that big cheesy ending to an 80s movie. We do get an ending, and it's Childs and McCready. So McCready sat in the snow, and Childs walks up to him, and McCready's like, "Where the fuck were you?" He's like, I thought I saw Blair.
That's it.
And the two of them sit there, like, kind of have a moment where they almost acknowledge that they're both going to die. McCready has a sip of his whiskey and offers a bit to Childs, and it ends. Now, I think that neither of these are the thing.
I think that Childs is.
Yeah, and this is where this movie is great, because you're never going to know.
I think that was the whole purpose of showing, unless it wasn't. Like, I just feel like they've done that particular scene, which I draw attention to earlier, where Childs runs across the grounds, the compound, in seek of Blair, because we know Blair wasn't there, or maybe we don't know Blair wasn't there, but it's clear that, I don't know, at that moment where Childs runs across the compound, and then later on we get that moment where it's like, where were you? He's like, oh, I thought I'd seen Blair. It just puts that question of doubt in your mind. And for me, as much as this ending infuriates me, because I have to know, I like the fact that I can sit here and have a conversation with you, and you're telling me that you don't think Childs was part of it. Whereas I can say, I'm like, no, I think he was. I think he was set up perfectly to introduce him as being that sort of thing.
I'd be interested to know what all the listeners. We'll do a poll when we release it.
Yeah.
We'll say, is one.
I think you have to with something like this.
McCready, Childs, or neither of them, and just give them, or both of them, give them four options to see.
I think it's fair to say that McCready obviously wasn't. He took down the main thing. Otherwise, why would he destroy the ship? Why would he not? He clearly wasn't. I don't think there was any sort of implications that he ever was or ever would be.
Lots of people think he is.
Nah, there's no reason to justify it. There's no reason to explain why he would do the things he did throughout. And I'd be curious to know them. And if you are one of those people who does think McCready was one, I would love to hear your thoughts on why you think that is. And I'd love to be able to hear you justify it. I'm not saying you're wrong for justifying it, but I would love to know your theories on why. But Childs, on the other hand, is a perfect candidate to be. It's like almost like that Last Sundance sort of thing, the way the two are sat opposed to each other.
Yeah.
And the way it's like, McCready stood there and he's like, we're both going to die here. So he's like, well, what do we do now then? It's almost that instance where it's like, well, do we both become the thing and freeze together? Or do I kill you and sacrifice myself? And he's like, well, let's just have a drink and think about it.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love the ending of this.
Yeah, it's a really good ending. And it's an ending that, as you say, opens up so much conversation. And most movies don't do that unless they do the post-credit or the end to tie to a sequel. And this doesn't do that. This is literally, they're both going to die. No one's coming to get them because they've not been able to get hold of anyone. No one is coming. They are going to die. And I think it's a great ending.
But the thing is, as well, if one of them is a thing, and it's like the whole intention now, it's like they set that early on. It's like, look, he knows he's not going to escape now. He knows he's got nowhere to go. The only thing he can do is not get killed and freeze in the snow and wait for somebody else to find it, whether that be 100 years or whether that be 10 years or whether that be 1,000 years. It's like he knows his only option now is to freeze in the snow and wait for somebody else to find it.
Yeah,
and so it's like you can feel that between McCready and Childs at the end. It's like, do I kill you or do I let you freeze? Or do I let you take me and we both freeze? It's like, mate, I fucking hate this ending, but I love it at the same time for those reasons.
The one thing this movie does teach us is not to trust anyone. Now, you can trust me. 100%
No.
you can trust me.
I don't think I can. What you do?
I tell you who you can't trust is you can't trust everybody else. You can't trust our listeners, and you sure as shit can't trust our former guests, because by order of the listeners and former guests, it's time to play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the Weakest Link Chase Edition, or as I renamed it, Backstabber.
No way!
Welcome to my world, bitch.
I'm not interrupting anything, am I?
Come to daddy.
Your suffering will be legendary, even in hell.
You can have dinner with us. You like head cheese? My brother makes it real good. You like it.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her. Don't let her get away, Mommy. Don't let her live.
I won't, Jason. I won't.
No way!
There are 15 multiple choice questions. I know you know the rules, but
you can't play. No, what the fuck?
There are 15 multiple choice questions, which have been supplied to me by listeners and former guests of the show. So I have not written a single question.
I want names now.
You're going to get the names as I give you each question.
No way! This is fucking brutal, man. What have I done to deserve this?
This is their getting revenge for me for what you done to me when I was ill. I'm not doing it.
When have they ever rallied around you?
Today. It's amazing. You get 10 points for each correct answer, and you are fighting for a place on our joint quiz leaderboard. Dave is sat at the top with 80 points, and BP from Let's Talk Horror Channel is just behind with 70. Question is,
this is kind of important then, isn't it?
Yeah, question is, can you catch them, or are you going to leave with 0? Bear in mind, I did not write any of these questions, and I
can't remember the rules of my own game. I can't walk away with 0, can I?
You can
if I get one wrong, I can still go on.
Yeah. But if you get all 15 wrong, you can still live with 0.
I feel like people don't hate me enough to make it that hard. Surely.
Let's find out. Question number 1, and this comes from Jordana at Pretty Killer Podcast. What was the original title of the 1978 movie Halloween? Was it A, Shatner's Revenge, B, The Night Stalker, C, The Babysitter Murders, or D, Loomis, A Night of Terror?
I'd like to know, have they supplied you with the answers as well?
No, I've made the multiple choice.
That would have been so much better. It was what was the Babysitter Murder one that you said?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. 10 points. Well done.
Of course it's correct. I know the answer to that. But Jordana, I thought you was my friend.
You can't call out all of them as we go along.
I intend to.
Question number 2.
If your name's on this list, then fuck you.
This comes from Josh at Nightmare on Woodsboro Lake. Which state does the original Night of the Living Dead take place? Pennsylvania, Ohio, Virginia, or Arizona?
I actually don't know that one. I really don't know that one. Why is Pennsylvania sounding out to me? Say them again. It was Pennsylvania, Ohio,
Virginia, or Arizona.
Ohio. I want to say either Arizona or Pennsylvania. Wow, Pennsylvania. That doesn't sound right. I'm going to go Pennsylvania, fuck it.
That's correct. Another 10 points and 20 points. Lady Crisis.
Mary, what the fuck?
How many... You're going to say what the fuck again in a minute. How many movies are there in the Puppet Master series? Are there 11, 12, 15 or 17?
Right, we need to stipulate some ground rules with this, because are we talking Puppet Master, actual Puppet Master, like the title is the Puppet Master? Isn't there like some spin-offs?
Yeah, not the spin. This is just the Puppet Master series. How many movies are in the Puppet Master series? This is 100%. It is 15. Well done. Fucking hell. 3 out of 3. 30 points. They need to get a little bit harder now. So our next one comes from Lumberjay Reviews. So that's Jay who called in earlier.
No way! Jay's my friend as well. What is he doing?
Jay wants to know, what was the very first horror film to be considered a slasher? Was it Halloween from 1978, 13 Women from 1937, Blood Feast from 1963, or Psycho from 1966?
I feel like this is a trick question. Can you say those titles again for me, please?
Yeah, you've got Halloween 1978, 13 Women 1937, Blood Feast 1963, or Psycho 1966.
So Halloween is the latest in those, but I still feel like Halloween was. I know you have your Black Christmases, you have your fuck's sake. Like I want to say Halloween was the one that, like, although you might categorize those as slashers,
Halloween was the one that made slashers really, really popular, but it may not necessarily.
But that's what I'm saying. But like, is it a case of you being like Halloween's come out, then we're going to categorize this as slashers, so then you go back and call them slashers? Do you know what I mean? Like the same way you consider like Hostel is torture porn. It created torture porn, but then you could then go back within the horror genre and then think, oh well, that would fall into that category. Do you know what I mean? Like Halloween was the first slasher, but who then decided to go back and say, well, actually, you could probably consider Psycho a slasher, even though it wasn't considered a slasher at the time it came out.
No, but it is considered a slasher now. We're talking about how they're classed now.
Exactly. So therefore, do I go with the one that's the earliest date, even though I have no idea what it is?
I don't know. That might be
it's the earliest date.
I'm
just trying to think about this question logically.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to work out logically what would be the right thing to do. Because even though Halloween is considered the first slasher, if you're then going to backdate things and be like, well, I just don't know how your mind works in terms of the answers for this question, and I'm just trying to figure out how you're going to screw me over on this.
Well, you're on 30 points.
Give me the answers again.
Halloween 1978, 13 Women 1937, Blood Feast 1963, or Psycho 1966.
What was the date for Blood Feast again?
1963.
I don't think Blood Feast was a slasher. I'm going to go with Psycho. That's my final answer.
That is incorrect. It was 13 Women from 1937. It was the first one that was classed as a slasher because there was lots of killing with knives. Question number 5. This comes from This Girl Loves Horror.
Oh, what? No way!
Yeah.
She's my new friend!
What was Friday the 13th titled before its release? Long Night and Crystal Lake, Mother's Revenge, A Long Night at Camp Blood, or Camp Blood Counselors?
It's one of the last two. Can you say them both again?
Yeah, you've got A Long Night at Camp Blood or Camp Blood Counselors.
Oh, that's really hard. That's a really fucking hard question. I'm sure it's something to do with Camp Blood. Why would they give away the title of it being something to do with the mother early on, when the whole point of it is... I'm going to go with C. I don't know which the answer was for C, but
that was A Long Night at Camp Blood. You going to go with that?
A Long Night, yeah. A Long Night at Camp Blood.
That's correct. That's another 10 points. You're on 40 points.
Yes, come on.
Question number 6, Robbie Horror. What are the Greek letters of the sorority house being stalked in 1974's Black Christmas? Is it Kappa Sigma Pi, Kappa Kappa Sigma, Pi Kappa Sigma, or Sigma Kappa Pi?
Can you show me them visually?
No, I can't.
How the fuck do I know what those symbols...
I haven't got the symbols. I've written the words. So you've got Kappa Sigma.
One of them, you've got the pi signal, which is the last one. So whichever your answer is, the last one is pi.
Yeah. So
which ones?
You've got Kappa Sigma Pi, which is A, or Sigma Kappa Pi, which is D.
Right. I'm going to go with one of those two. Which one of those looks like an 8?
I don't know. I haven't got the symbols.
You're fucking terrible at quizzes, man. Right, read them out to me. I'll just have to guess.
So
Kappa Sigma Pi.
A is Kappa Sigma Pi. B is Kappa Kappa Sigma. C is Pi Kappa Sigma. D is Sigma Kappa Pi.
Oh, it's Pi first. No, I went with it initially and I was like, Pi was the second one. I feel like the first letter is like an A. So I have to guess between A and D. Kappa Sigma Pi or Kappa Kappa. Did you say Kappa Kappa Pi?
You got Kappa Sigma Pi or Sigma Kappa Pi is A and D.
Yeah, final answer. I'm just completely, without visualising them in front of me, I can't work out which is which.
It's incorrect. It was C. It was Pi Kappa Sigma.
Fuck's sake.
That's
infuriating me, that.
You're going to get a lot more infuriated as we go along. Number 7, Gareth at Video Tasties.
Gareth, man, what?
Gareth at least has gone with a movie that you know and love. What is the exact runtime of Halloween 4 on the UK VHS release? Is it 80 minutes, 83 minutes, 88 minutes, or 91 minutes?
How is that helpful to anybody? I don't even own the UK release of that video as well, which is disappointing. If anybody has that, I would love to own it.
Gareth has it, because he sent me a picture of the box to give me the runtime.
It's 83 minutes. Final answer.
It's not, unfortunately. It's 88 minutes.
Fuck! And a Halloween 4 question as well. That's not
fair. Question number 8. Our guest from last week, Mr. Imitation Dave. He's gone with also a movie that you absolutely detest as opposed to love. The Munsters had a car affectionately known as Dragula. How many cubic inches was the engine?
What the fuck? That's not a real question.
It is. It's a real question.
No, it's not a real question for anybody. Nobody would know the answer to that.
There's a real answer. You're going to have to take a guess then. 245, 267, 289, or 303.
What an absolute fucking crock of shit this quiz is. Who did you write these questions?
Nope. None of these are mine. Not a single one.
Who wrote these questions? I need names.
I've given you the names. This one was Imitation Dave. This is Dave's question.
I thought you wrote the questions.
No, I didn't write the questions.
Oh, so you just wrote the answers for me to pick.
I gave the multiple choice. So they gave me a question and an answer, and then I added the multiple choice.
Even in a standard quiz, if we was playing a standard quiz, like that would be like question fucking 74 if we ever got to that point. Not question 15, not let alone question 8. How the fuck are you supposed to know the size of an engine on a stupid fake car in a fucking Rob Zombie film?
So your options were 245, 267, 289, or 303.
Right. What was the name of the hotel room in Shining? 267, was it?
No, it was something else. It's escaped me. It wasn't 267.
I'm just trying to pin stuff together to try and make it relevant. 267 is what I said, so 267 is what I'm going with.
Unfortunately, it's incorrect. It's 289. But that's a really hard question.
Yeah, you're not fucking kidding.
Next one, question
Fuck
number 9.
Dave. I thought he was my friend.
This one comes from Skelly, from Skellington Fan. How many Halloween movies starred Danielle Harris? 3, 4, 5, or 6?
Oh, ka-ching.
Sure you're going to go with that answer?
Yeah, it's Halloween 5, Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween Rob Zombies 1, Halloween Rob Zombies 2. That's it. 4. She isn't in any others. She isn't in any of the remakes. She's in any of the Dog Green ones. She isn't. Don't fucking trick question me, man. She's in 4.
You're going to go with 4. Okay.
Dude, no, don't wait.
So H4, H5. Did she appear in any movies after H5?
Just trying to think if she was in like some sort of fucking weird little photo in the background in like any of the other ones. Don't know how this quiz is going, to be honest with you. No, she isn't. She's in any other. She's not mentioned in any other film. She's mentioned in Halloween 6, but it's played by a different actress. There's not a photo of her in that film where she's younger. It's Danielle Harris's character. There isn't a callback photo to her in any of the other Gordon Green films. It's 4. Don't tell me I'm wrong, because I know I'm right.
No, it's correct. I just wanted to make you sweat. You're on 50 points.
That's cruel, man. That's cruel.
It was, wasn't it?
Thank you for such a nice question, Skelly.
Question number 10. Joe Quinn Films. How did they make the phone ring in The Black Phone? They used a real phone and had the boys use it. It was done in after editing. It never rang, we imagined it, or it was all CGI.
What?
How did they make the phone ring in The Black Phone? They used
like an actual telephone.
An actual telephone. They used a real phone and had the boys use it. It was done in after editing. It never rang, we imagined it, or it was all CGI. It's just a phone ring.
I need some context to the question. Yeah, so the phone ringing.
Yes, a phone
working
ringing.
phone, and somebody could have just rang it.
Yeah, it's a working phone.
So what's the question here? Are you saying the audio from the person on the other end, or are you talking about the actual noise of the phone ringing?
But both. So it's the noise of the phone ringing and then the audio of the other end.
I would assume that this was put in post credit and that the actor was talking to just an empty phone. But it's not CGI. It's not a CGI phone call.
So it's not CGI. You knock that out. So
it's not computer. It's not computer generated phone call. I'm just saying. Imagine it was.
So you've got A, which is it's a real phone, and they had the boys use it. Who's talking on the other end of the phone? It was done in after editing, or it rang. It never rang, and we imagined it.
It never rang, and we imagined it. What kind of fucking Twin Peaks conversation is that?
So you're discounting that one as well. That leaves you 2 then. It was done in after editing, or they used a real phone that actually rang.
I imagine it was a real phone and it actually rang, and someone picked it up. But surely. To put the two together would have been done in editing. You couldn't have just recorded at the same time. That wouldn't have worked. It was done in editing. You're just fucking messing with me now, starting me off with hard questions. It was done in editing.
It wasn't. They used a real phone and had the audio.
Fuck off. No.
You're on 50 points and you have got, what have you got? 5 questions left. So you've still got a good chance of catching people, so don't worry. This one comes from BJ Mumbo. What was the name of the character who taught Chucky about voodoo? Was it A, John Kramer, B, Papa Midnight, C, John Alsop Bishop, or D, Dr. Death?
Papa Midnight, B.
That's incorrect. You actually had 2.
Fuck off!
You had 2 chances of getting it right. So the character's name is John Alsop Bishop, who is known as Dr. Death. So you actually had a 50-50 chance of this, and you still got it right.
Oh, it's Papa Midnight's from Constantine.
It is, yes.
Fuck!
Question number 12. This comes from the Sinister Scoop, who's Tasha. What year was House of a Thousand Corpses released? 2003, 2004, 2005, or 2006?
Oh, I hate my life.
You've not got many to go.
Oh man, I love this film, and I know it was made and then it was shelved. Was it made 2004 and then shelved for 3 years, which would make it 2007? What are my options?
2003, 2004, 2005, or 2006?
Right. I think it was made in 2003, shelved for 3 years. So what are we talking? Release or made?
Released.
Surely based on your quiz you would think, I know, I'll pick what year it was made to trip him up. But then I'd be also the right answer. And I know it was shelved for 3 years. And the lowest answer is 3 and the highest answer is 6. So I'm going to say it was released in 2006, but was made in 2003. I'm massively overthinking this. 2006, final answer. No, 2001.
Is not an option. You got 2003, 2004, 2005, or 2006. You can't add an answer.
Why do I feel like it's so early in my brain? Why do I feel like it's that? Right. Give me them again.
So you got 2003, 2004, 2005, or 2006.
If I'm thinking 2001 in my mind, then surely, right, 2003, final answer.
That's correct. It was made in the year 2000. It was shelved for 3 years, released in 2000.
I knew it was shelved for 3 years.
Number 13. This comes from Angel, Voices from the Mausoleum. How long did it take to write Halloween 4? Bear in mind, you've already got one Halloween 4 question wrong. 7 days, 9 days, 11 days, or 15 days?
Who? These people are supposed to be my friends.
If it makes you feel any better, this was also a fun fact on the Halloween 4 episode.
Did I do fun facts on that episode?
We both did.
Do you know what's more heartbreaking than anything? I like these people.
I do too, especially after today.
I don't anymore. This is proper, like the worst of the worst as well. These aren't even like questions that I would. Folks, like you have got to be the most. Like I feel like a lot of the quizzes that come on this show, I'm pretty confident I can do quite well on. This is just fucking nasty. This really nasty. Yeah, really nasty.
The funny thing is, lots of people sent me questions, and I sent back, I don't know the answer. You need to give me the answer as well. I have no clue.
Fucking hell.
Right. So how long did it take to write H4? 7 days, 9 days, 11 days, or 15 days? I'll give you a little bit of context. They got this in hours before the writer's strike, which, had they missed the deadline, the movie would never have been made.
Oh, cheers for that, mate. I definitely know the answer now. I should know this. H4 is a masterpiece. Surely that can't be written in 7 days. But then again, I seem to be the only one in that camp, so maybe it did. It was written in 7 days. Was it 7, 9?
7, 9, 11, or 15?
Why do I remember it so much as well? I want to say it was really low, but I just feel like 7 is too low. 9. Lock it in. Final answer.
That's correct. You're now on 70 points. You're tied with Imitation Dave, and you've got 2 questions to go.
Right, I need these questions. How far up am I from the leaderboard?
You're tied with BP. If you get the next point, you're tied with Dave. So you need to get the next 2 questions right to go top.
Right, okay.
First of the next 2 questions, number 14, comes from Heather. Wednesday Wine and Horror.
Oh, she fucking better be nice to me, man. I swear.
I think
we send each other regular office memes and Shit's Creeks memes. I tell you now, Heather, this is a nasty question.
I
that shit.
I think this is a bit of a vengeance question. In the movie Twilight.
Oh my God, no way!
Where did Bella live before moving to Forks? Did she live in Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, California, Austin, Texas, or Chicago, Illinois?
Oh, no way. No fucking way. That is brutal.
It was Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas,
As soon as
California.
you said Phoenix, it came to my mind. Oh, but I feel like I need to get this wrong on purpose just so I don't look like a Twilight fan. I can't win with this question. If I get it right, she's going to think I'm one of hers. And I don't know if she deserves that legion. You said Phoenix, and that was the first thing that came to my mind when you said it. I'm going to go answer number 1, Phoenix.
That is correct. You are now officially a Twilight fan. You were also tied. You were also tied with Imitation Dave on top of the leaderboard. 1 question to see if you can go top.
If I nail this and I get this quiz right, I expect everybody else from this point on to have questions as brutal. This is the hardest thing you could have ever mustered. And the thing is, as well, this hasn't even come from you. What makes it even worse?
I know.
I expect this from you.
I know. Even like most of the questions, I was like, that's hard. Okay, we'll go with it. Your final question comes from Elise, horror review girl.
Oh, of course it is.
What was the original working title for Buffy the movie? So we can now reveal your Buffy fandom as well, because you're going to know this. Was it A, Buffy the Bad Actress? Was it B, Rhonda the Immortal Waitress? Was it C, Vampire Princess? Or was it D, Sarah the Slayer?
None of them sound...
One of them is correct, I can assure you.
Was it really?
Yeah. So it was either Buffy the Bad Actress, Rhonda the Immortal Waitress, Vampire Princess, or Sarah the Slayer.
That's really, really fucking hard, man. Like my initial idea is 3. Rhonda,
Rhonda the Immortal Waitress.
But what relevance does that have to anything within that film?
Well, you could say the same for any of those. What relevance does it have?
So, like, when you say the original working title, does that?
This is what it was called during production before they renamed it for release.
Did this film come out before the TV series?
Yes.
So therefore, I'm going to exclude D because it's got no relevance to Sarah Michelle Gellar being part of the role.
Okay.
I'm going to exclude C because there's no waitress. She's not a waitress in it. So
that was B. So you've got A, B, and C left. So Buffy the Bad Actress, Rhonda the Immortal Waitress, or Vampire Princess.
C, Vampire Princess. Finalize it.
It's incorrect.
Game over.
It was Rhonda the Immortal Waitress.
I went with that as well.
I know, but you didn't stick with it. Mark, congratulations with those incredibly hard questions, and they genuinely were. Thank you for everyone who gave questions in. They all wowed me. Mark, you are tied on top of the leaderboard with Imitation Dave with 80 points.
Oh, I deserve first place. After that. That was nasty.
You've got it. It's a joint first place. As I know you're a little bit grumpy now, I'm going to cheer you up. So I've resurrected an old feature that we've not done for fucking ages. Wankers from the Web. Now, this is where I go trolling the web and I look for 1-star reviews of really good movies. And I've done that with The Thing. So I went to Google first. First one, and I'm not going to name and shame here because you might hunt them down and do things to them. I would give 0 if I could.
No, you don't have to worry about that, mate. I've got a list of about 15 people I'm coming for.
Yeah, I would give 0 if I could. I haven't seen it, but I hear a dog dies. Someone get Peter on the case. They've not even seen it, and they've given it 0 stars. Or 1 star.
How can you criticise a film without seeing it? That just annoys me. That annoys me more than anything. Is when somebody's like, "Oh, watch the first 5 minutes. It was fucking shit." So yeah, 2 stars.
Yeah,
it's like, dude, watch the film. If you're going to criticise it, or you're going to pass an opinion, at least see the film through to the end.
The next one, I'm going to try and read how it's written. So bear with me. This is also from Google. Based off Among Us, brah. So off Among Us. It got me thinking, hey, why not become an alien in front of everyone? Brah. Like, the hell? Yes, I'm saying bad things, but that's how bad it is, yo. So terrible, I can tell you. That is fake blood ketchup, Dart. How is this rated R? How?
Was that Jesse Pinkman by any chance?
I don't. I have no idea how to address the fact that he thinks a game that came out like 5 years ago, The Thing is based on that game. I don't even know where to begin. It was that one that led me to IMDb because Google had broken me. IMDb, it moves like a virus. It could be anyone. Suspense, maybe a little, but I could not get past the gross, vulgar, blasphemy, slimy disgustingness of the film to enjoy it. If you like a gross alien film, this is for you. I found it to be disturbing, uncomfortable, not scary, just gross.
Yeah. You don't deserve cinema, my friend. You do not deserve cinema.
Last one. Everybody kept telling me how good this movie was, so I thought I would give it a try. And I swear to God, it took about 5 hours to watch this damn movie. Just isn't any point to it. So fucking slow.
And you just can't educate stupid, can you?
No. And now we've listened.
I hate idiots.
Yeah, and now we've listened to the idiots. Let's find out what our listeners think.
How you say hot takes?
Now,
Russell had the right idea by banning people in a pit.
Hot takes this week started as it does every week. So we got the Horror Games page, greatest science fiction horror movie of all time. Kurt Russell's best performance ever, in my opinion. The atmosphere, the composing, absolutely phenomenal. I love this film. Wednesday Wine and Horror, McCready Can Get It. That's a right classic and lots of fun to watch. Then Hot Takes took a sharp left turn as we got a genuine hot take. And this comes from Chunky Larry at the Ghoul Kids Table podcast. He said,
I know not to argue with this man.
No, he said, it's overrated if I'm being super blunt. It's a terrific film, but the amount of dick riding it gets is embarrassing. We get it. You're not like other horror fans. Also, John W. Campbell is a racist piece of shit like H.P. Lovecraft. But that's me separating art from the artist, and that's for a different thread. Now, this sparked a huge debate and a couple of blazing rows amongst our followers. And Larry made some really good points. I mean, the writer of the novella is 100% a racist piece of shit. He once stopped letting...
Yeah, but so is H.P. Lovecraft, and H.P. Lovecraft is a fucking genuine Nazi, but there's no denying that his work has inspired some amazing films throughout cinema.
Yeah, I mean, John W. Campbell stopped people entering a book writing competition when he worked as an editor. If they were black, they weren't allowed to enter. But
that piece of shit should bad at the stake.
Yeah, but it raised an important question that I wanted to ask you, and I wanted to put it on the air because I'd be interested to get the listeners' take on it as well, is should we separate art from the artist? So for me, for the most part, I can do this and I can watch movies and I don't really take into account anything the person who created it thought or did. If I find out later something they've done or a racist or homophobic or transphobic view they had, I may view the movie in a different light. And there's certain movies like Jeepers Creepers, for example, that's tainted for me forever because that guy is the most vile, horrible, disgusting bastard ever. But for you, where do you sit with this? Can you separate it, or do you find yourself looking at things differently when you find out how people's opinions are?
So the way I see this and the way I approach this is things like The Thing, which is based on a novella. This is not word for word or homage to the original writer of the story. This is taking inspiration from an idea that the writer had, and it's taking it and rewriting it and making it into something that is their own. So therefore, I feel all credit is upon John Carpenter and the writers and the producers and the production quality of this team. Yeah, it's an idea spawned by some racist piece of shit who should never fucking be allowed to breathe the air that the rest of us on this planet do. But to then tie in something that is so separated from that, I don't feel is necessary. Now, films like Jeepers Creepers, for example, like you mentioned earlier, yes, the director is Victor Salva is a fucking dirty, disgusting piece of shit who deserves to burn at the stake too. But he's not the only person involved in that film. Justin Long, as well as many other cast members, as well as many other production company people involved in that casting, set design, cinematography, score, they all worked very, very, very fucking hard on that film. And that film is a film that is loved by a lot of people in the horror genre. It's just helmed and it is sailed by a disgusting piece of shit. But everybody else still worked very, very hard on that. And to not acknowledge their dedication and involvement in that production is unjust.
Yeah.
And the fact that it is shadowed by somebody who is such a fucking arsehole is unfair to them because they probably didn't know that. Had they had the knowledge of his behaviour, yet still conceded to work with him, then yeah, fair enough. You sync with that motherfucker. But at the time, I'm not sure how public this was or how well aware everybody else was of this. It brings me back to the Weinstein thing. Weinstein, yeah, rot in fucking jail. You deserve to be there. You're a disgusting human being. And everybody's like, oh yeah, he was very close with the Weinsteins, or he worked very closely with the Weinsteins. He deserves to be fucking blacklisted, this, that, and the other. But there's a lot of people who have spent so much time working underneath that company and that umbrella who had no idea what was going on, and they were just artists trying to do what they were doing. And I feel like it's very easy to blame by association.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Lies with an individual. And like I say, I'm not an oppressed fucking member of society. I've never had to go through racism or fucking gender equality or any form of oppression that anybody ever has. I'm a white man And
we are
very
the most
fucking privileged.
we are
it seems to be.
We are middle-aged white men. We are the most privileged of the privileged, and
I'm not here to pass judgment and tell anybody that they're wrong for feeling a certain way. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I'm as an outsider, without treading on anybody's toes, I think it's unfair to tie everybody else who's involved with such a mass production that involves so many other people. And so many people went very, very hard on certain productions. And it annoys me when people, especially Jeepers Creepers is a perfect example of this. Victor Salva, who was the director of that, was done for numerous child sex offences. He's a fucking piece of shit and deserves to die, as far as I'm concerned. He should not be allowed to breathe the same oxygen as everybody else. But he's not the only person who was involved in that film. People worked really hard on that, and they give it their all, as well as the cast, as well as the sound design team, the set design team, and the costume design team, as well as the actors involved who played the Creeper, Justin Long. And I would like to live in, and I don't want to be one of those people like, oh yeah, I live in naivety, but I would like to assume that these people had no idea of Victor Salva's past. They had no idea that he was responsible for these heinous acts at the time. So therefore, is it wrong to completely boycott the film based on one man's involvement?
It's a really hard question to answer, and it's really hard I think it's really hard for everyone, and also like for us as podcasters. Do we tell people, or is it a case of living in ignorance is bliss, and do we just let people enjoy movies? And again, that's something that's really hard.
The thing is as well, if somebody's saying to us, we are a new run podcast, and if somebody picked for us to do Jeepers Creepers, I would not turn around and be like, we're not doing that because Victor Salva's a piece of shit. I would do that film and I would review it in its entirety, and I would go through it step by step, and I would talk about the plot points, and I would talk about the casting, and I would talk about everything else involved in it. But I would make it very clear on where I stand in Victor Salva. And I would make it very clear to the audience that he is a piece of shit, and I do not support his behaviour or anything that he has done.
Yeah.
But he is not the only person involved in this production, and therefore to disregard everybody else's efforts is not fair.
Yeah, and I'd agree. And anyone who's listening, it's such a difficult topic, and it's something that's not spoken about very much in horror. We all tend to turn a blind eye or bury our head to this kind of thing a little bit, and we're all guilty of that. If you've got an opinion on this, call the show. YouRunPodcast.com, click on record us a message, or send us a voice note on a DM on Instagram, and we'll get you played on the air and get your views on it as well. Lighten things up a bit.
It's time for facts and fuck-ups.
John Carpenter has stated that this is his favourite of all of his films. It is his personal favourite, and it's the one that he feels needs to be returned to, which is why he's returning to it with Gordon Green. That's currently in early stages of production.
Is this true? Is this like a sequel?
No details on it yet, whether it's a sequel, a prequel, or a remake. We just don't know.
Because one thing about this as well is, like, I always feel was a missed opportunity was this could have gone on to be Aliens, but better.
Yeah.
Imagine this reaching civilization.
Yeah, or take it one step further. This is the most cross-breedable franchise ever. Go and stick a thing on the alien ship, in Alien. Get it turned into an alien. Get it turned into a Predator. You've got so much scope to play with, and they isolated it all to this one base and never explored anything else.
Yeah, I just feel like throughout the whole of history with horror, especially with this type of horror such as Predator and Aliens and I don't know, fucking hell, like Species and all the rest of the sort of sci-fi horrors that you can throw under this umbrella. I just feel like this one in particular was the most beneficial from a sequel, and it never got it. And it had such scope to develop it in such a bigger scale. Like, you had Alien, which was very confined to that. And then I just feel like for The Thing, this was the next step. Like, you could do The Things, you know what I mean? And had the same sort of scope that you had with Aliens, but base it around this story, and it would have been amazing.
Do you know what I'd like to see? What I would have liked to have seen is a sequel that picked up with a rescue helicopter picking up Childs and McCready and taking them back, and one of them being The Thing, and then you then change the dynamic. You put this in New York, put The Thing in New York. how much of a
Exactly,
different
that's
movie
it. Like
is that?
Predator 2.
Yeah.
Predator 2, just go with it. But the thing
Yeah.
is, look, I've seen this film fucking 50 times. And still, to this day, I still watch for a post-credit scene. Even
Yeah.
though I know it's not there.
No, it's not there.
I'm like, please, in an Avengers era, please just let me just hope that this time around they've dropped some nugget of information in there somewhere.
So they all know that the alien organism is highly infective, and they take steps to make sure that they don't get near each other and they don't cross-infect each other until they share the same knife to do the blood samples.
It's a bit of copper wire, isn't it?
They cut themselves with a knife when they cut their hand.
Oh, of course, yeah. Apologies, of course they do.
They all use the same knife, so if one of them was infected, in theory, they should all be infected.
Yes.
This film's special effects or practical effects are as good as it gets. Can you believe that the guy who created all the practical effects, this is a guy called Rob Bottin, he was 22 when he done this.
Wow. How is he not a Savini level name?
I have no idea, but he is phenomenal. MacReady, so we see him drinking at the beginning of the film, and he's shown with so the shot below shows like the camera comes up to him from under the desk, and he's disheveled and all his beard's in a mess, and he just generally looks like a bag of shit. Literally seconds later, he's in the helicopter with a neatly combed, trimmed beard and looking all bright and breezy, and that's because they filmed that scene right at the end of the movie when he was a bit disheveled.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just want to ask as well, how hard are you finding this, not saying chopper every time?
Difficult. It's difficult. This has become kind of a thing. So the actual Arctic Research Station, the British Arctic Research Station, they hold a Thing watch party as part of their midwinter feast, and they hold it on the 21st of June. So in the Arctic, on the 21st of June every year, the Antarctic research team sit down and all watch the Thing together.
That's amazing.
That's such a cool fact. One day after shooting the scene with the flamethrower, Kurt Russell pranked John Carpenter. So what he'd done is he went to the props department, he got his head covered in bandages, and basically went to John Carpenter and went, he had a horrific burn injury using the flamethrower. John Carpenter freaked and apparently called like the medic team down and everything for Kurt Russell just to unbandage his head and walk away laughing.
That is excellent.
The final confrontation, so when we get the big monster at the end, that took 50 special effects technicians with poles and pulleys and stuff to move that monster. So if
that
you
doesn't surprise me, it looks huge.
Yeah, but if you pan back from that, could you imagine seeing these 50 guys all fucking tripping over each other trying to move their one bit? Must have been carnage.
I would love to see a behind the scenes shot for that, actually.
It'd look really, really cool. So when they go up to the Norwegian base, they're looking around and they find loads of empty cans labelled kerosene in the Norwegian camp, which is meant to be for kerosene. The Norwegian word for kerosene is actually paraffin, but they decided that an American audience wouldn't know what paraffin was, so they just made up a word that looked similar.
Bloody Americans.
John Carpenter was incredibly impressed with the work done by the dog as who was taken over by the Thing. The dog's name is Jed. And the shot of him walking down the hallway, you know, when we said he looks really, really creepy, when he's walking down and he's sort of like looking shifty and turning left and right and goes into the room, one take.
No way.
So they literally called action. The dog come out, looked a bit shifty and a bit dodgy, and just ambled into the room.
That's brilliant. That's like a once in a lifetime thing where something like that would happen.
Yeah, and that dog needs an award. That dog's the best actor in this film.
That dog is definitely dead now, but yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, okay, that dog was the best. R.I.P. Jed.
R.I.P. Jed.
Jed, at the next Oscars, I want Jed nominated for a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
That was done in one take. What seems to be taking multiple takes is for everyone to go and review us on Apple and Spotify, because we haven't got as many reviews as we have got listeners. I'm not complaining because we've got lots of reviews. We had lots of reviews recently. So thank you very much for that. But go to Apple or to Spotify, click 5 stars. If you can spend a couple more seconds there and write something really nice on Apple, that'd be great. And as Mark said before, if you do write something nice, we'll read it on the air. You can write, "My name is Mark and I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer," for all I care, as long as you hit us with 5 stars. And I'll get Mark to read that.
I'm still really fucking mad about this quiz, mate. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not very happy.
Well, we're going to get past that. We also have lots of new T-shirt designs. There's new designs going up every single week. So check out yourunpodcast.com if you want to buy a T-shirt. If you have an idea in your head for a T-shirt, but you don't know how to make it, drop me a DM at yourunpodcast on Instagram. Give me an idea of what you want, and I will make it without breaching copyright, and then you can go buy it. So I'll make the T-shirt for you if you've got an idea for a T-shirt.
Yeah, let's make a Mark free quiz T-shirt. How about that?
Mark free quiz.
Mark quiz free. You know what I mean. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'll think of something. I'm going to round it up first by saying this is John Carpenter's best work from a directorial standpoint. It deals with isolation, mental health issues, and scatters in an alien and the best practical effects ever put to screen. Storytelling is excellent throughout, and I watch this at least once a year, sometimes twice a year. There are some pretty large plot holes, by the way, just by its design, where you don't know who the thing is, and it could be this person, it could be that one, and you can view it in many different ways. And on this rewatch, watching it with a very, very critical eye, I didn't enjoy it as much as I have previously, and I found things a little bit slow at times. And a real controversial opinion: the score is annoying as fuck, and it's awful. I hate the score for this.
Carpenter score.
I genuinely hate it. It's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's terrible.
For someone who's well renowned for his score, this is shocking, really, isn't it?
Yeah, from a directorial standpoint of what you're looking at, this is John Carpenter's best work, but it's not my go-to John Carpenter movie anymore. That would probably now sit with Escape from New York as my go-to.
You're fucking lying. You know that's not true, and it's Halloween. Just say it.
It's genuine.
Just say it for me, please. I feel like I've had a rough ride this evening.
Okay. So this is no longer my go-to movie. My go-to movie is Halloween from 1978.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Halloween, no. In fact, I want to say Halloween 4.
Sorry, what? Halloween 3?
Halloween 4. No, I'll make you say Deep Blue Sea in a minute. Carry on.
It's a great movie, but it's not perfect. It's an 8 out of 10 and definitely dropped in my rankings on this rewatch. Mark, where are you with...
I'm surprised by that. I thought this was going to be a solid 10 out of 10 to you.
I know
how much you love this film as well.
Yeah, I genuinely do, but watching it again and like really paying attention and really analysing it and not just going, oh, look, it's Kurt Russell with a flamethrower. Oh, that practical effect's great. Actually really watching it, I found myself picking holes in it, and I found things that annoyed me. And it kind of went from there, and I then started really picking it apart. And it's still a great movie. It's just not perfect anymore on this rewatch. I can't give it a 10 out of 10.
Okay, I get it. You know, I get it. So for me, I don't know where to start with this film, really. I mean, the set location is something that I am in constant awe of. I love any film that features a snowy setting. It's something that always attracts me to films. I love anything that is based around snow. I just think it amplifies the sort of beautiful cinematography that's on availability, and I feel like something like Dean Cundy, if I've got that right, apologies, I will check that afterwards to make sure that I have got that right, but I think I'm pretty positive it's Dean Cundy who does cinematography. I feel like he captures this landscape perfectly, the way that he shoots and frames these shots. Directorial wise, I think John Carpenter really comes into his own with this film, and he fully embraces it, and it's clear how passionate he is about this project. This isn't something that he's just making as an indie project like Halloween, as much as it kills for me to say that. This is something that he really wants to give everything he's got to with his capabilities, barring obviously the score that we mentioned earlier, which for all we say it's a bad score, it's just very one note. And I think when you associate somebody like John Carpenter with a film and he's done the score for it, you kind of just, based on Halloween, you expect something more. It's not to say that it was a bad score. It's just a very standard sci-fi sort of score.
I genuinely don't like it. I find it annoying.
I wouldn't go as far as to say I didn't like it. It just feels like an episode of Doctor Who, and it's not something that I feel like you could stamp John Carpenter's name on. I just feel like, given the scope and the tone of this film, he could have achieved so much more with it. Something that he probably would agree with himself if you had that conversation with him now. Practical effects, mind-blowing. Probably the best, or if not the best I've ever seen. This is the benchmark for what is achievable without CGI. If anybody in production ever tells you we need to do that effect with CGI, go back and watch the thing and say, look, no, this is why we don't need to do that with CGI.
Yeah.
This is what the audience want, and this is what is going to be most relatable to people. And that will just show that perfectly. I think the story, the way it builds, it's got perfect pacing. The depiction of anxiety and paranoia throughout is just built so well and so relatable as the story goes on. You can almost feel it yourself with this desolate environment. This is really, really fucking hard to score this film. No, it's not. It's not hard to score this film. This is a 5 out of 5. I've scored worse films than this higher, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. This is a 5 out of 5 for me. I think this is some of John Carpenter's best work, and as much as I love Halloween, and Halloween is my all-time favorite film, there is nothing. His directing in this and the cinematography with Dean Cundey is some of the best I've seen put to screen. The practical effects are some of the best I've seen put to screen, and although it has its flaws, I'm not saying this is a perfect film at all. It's got its problems. I take issue with the ambiguity of the closing acts. It infuriates me to no end, not knowing who and who isn't. But I can't comfortably sit here and say that this is a 4.5 because I've given that score to lesser films than this. So I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5, and I'm gonna hold my head high and say that I think it's a perfect. It is the best sci-fi horror out there.
Yeah, I disagree, but yeah, if that's what you think,
Yeah.
I could. Yeah,
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. But as I've always said, I always base my scores on my experience with them.
Yeah,
and the acting was perfect. I think the acting was flawless. I think Kurt Russell and everybody else around him was. I think this is such a hard film to act in.
And Jed.
Given,
don't forget Jed.
And Jed, obviously, of course. I just think it's a hard film to act in and display that anxiety and paranoia throughout. And I think everybody else develops his story so well, because you have to be so absorbed by everybody else on the screen, because they're what display the feelings. They're what you have to take away from it in order to get the feel and the tone of the film. And I can't sit here and score it any less, because I think no matter how bad the flaws are within this film, what it achieves on so little, it deserves recognition for it. And I think it's 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
I've scored other films less. No, I've scored other films 5 out of 5 that are probably worse than this, but have more redeeming qualities, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you don't.
I know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I do as well. You don't need to justify your score to me or to the listeners. It's your score.
No, but I feel like I do, because like you're scoring it less, and I thought you was going to say this was a straight 10 out of 10. I'm surprised you didn't go there with this, because it is a perfect film. It's a perfect sci-fi horror film, and for all its flaws, what did you score The Predator?
Predator was a 9. Predator's better than this.
So you're saying The Predator's better than this?
Yeah, 100%.
And what, you stand by that as well?
Yeah, I stand by that. Prey is better than this. Alien is better than this. Aliens is better than this.
Oh, man, you're a fucking psychopath. What am I doing here?
If you want to watch the thing, you can rent it everywhere in the UK and everywhere in the US. It's currently not free anywhere unless you own a copy. Mark, hit me with an anagram. No one saw that, but Mark literally just sat back to relax. He sat back to relax.
Realised shit.
And then he lunged forward and go, fuck, I need to do something.
What did I do last week? Was it Death by Scorn?
I can't remember what you done last week.
Oh, fuck off, man. You're supposed to be in charge of the show.
I've slept since then. I think it was. Was it Death by Scorn? Yeah. Pick. Say one, and I'll tell you if you've done it or not.
No, I know which one I haven't done. I just can't remember which one I have to relate back to.
No, I can't remember. And I'm not sure how people have done this week because I've got it written down, but I haven't got it written down in front of me.
Okay, well, we can't remember what we did last week. We will do it on the stories when this episode comes out. But this week's anagram is Damn Thy Acne, which is spelled DAMN space THY space ACNE. Damn Thy Acne.
Okay, so everyone who's playing at the moment, there's quite a lot of you now. I'll put it in the stories, give it an answer, and then, you're in the running for winning a T-shirt. So, cool. Cool. That's hard. I'm trying to work it out in my head. That's why I've kind of just started brain farting on the air going,
Can we just make a promise now to try and remember that that's what I did this week for next week?
Yeah, so next week we know. I'll make a note.
We could try and be a little bit more professional and remember where we're at with it.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. You can catch us on our other show, Horror Movie News, where we keep you up to date on news in the world of horror and news in the world of us as well. And next week on this show, we were going to be doing a new release. We were going to be covering Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. For the first time ever, me and Mark have cancelled an episode. And there's a reason behind it, but I'm going to tell you about that all next week because that'll be a nice opening to the show. So what we've done instead is we put this out to a poll for people to vote on. And you all got to pick. I basically said, listener request time, pick some movies. Mark picked a movie. Mark picked an action movie, hence it didn't win. I picked
about 6 movies.
You did, and I picked one of those for you. I picked a movie, and that didn't win. The winner was Skellington Fan, so we're going to have first request from Skellington Fan, I think. We're going to have The Black Phone.
I'll be honest, I've not seen it. I'm not that bothered.
Let's see how you feel next week. I reckon next week you'll rock it up going, this is fucking amazing. That's my prediction.
I hope so. I feel like I probably will as well.
I tell you what,
when it came out, it kind of came and went, and I was like,
As you've not seen it, before you watch it, you need to text me a quick synopsis of what you think is going to happen in the movie, and we're going to do it.
I'll do it now. I'll do it on the air.
No, don't do it on the air. Text it to me, and then I'm going to play it. I'm going to read it out on the air of your prediction. Mark predicts.
Okay.
So text it to me, and that's how we'll open it. We'll do Mark predicts, and then we'll go through the run through and see how close you are to what actually happens.
Okay. All right.
Thank you everyone for listening. Tune in next week. Give us a review. Have a nice week, and we will catch you all on Friday. See you later.
Cheers, guys. I'll see you next week.
Before we forget, you want to die tonight?
The cheaper, nastier, the better for me.
Would you have stayed after this?
Sorry, man. I was completely off guard there.
He's in his coffin. He's the undead.
This was the best bit of the film.
This is not the last time someone's going to steal your man.
Yeah, Mark's not a nice guy.
He didn't notice this scene. It looks like he's got an extra leg.
Yeah, I've got nothing. I've literally got nothing here. Surely that'd be even worse. The more listeners we have, the worse that's going to be.
Yeah, but I will just get a new phone.
Oh, I tell a lie, actually. Yeah, because we used to have teletext.
Art the Clown makes Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees look like pussies.
I can only assume that this was due to budgetary reasons and they couldn't afford enough extras.
Are you going to have Buster Rhymes in your list of characters?
Mate, I can't believe you don't know Idle Hands.
I'm going to ram my foot down his fucking throat. It was awesome.
It fucking wasn't awesome.